Alan Greenspan, the Federal Reserve Chairman, coined the phrase irrational exuberance to describe a phenomenon where investors were pumping the price of the market with little regard to actual underlying fundamentals. Fast forward 3 decades or so, we've reached new levels of speculation. Meme coins are worth more than entire car companies. A car company who loses money is worth more than all the other car companies who make money combined. And yet, Alan Greenspan said only a few years ago that he sees no irrational exuberance in today's market.
You foresaw what was to occur in markets long before it actually happened when you said irrational exuberance. Mr. Chairman, do you see similarities between today's market and what you saw back in the late 90s?
Very little.
Well, there you have it, guys. No irrational exuberance. I agree with Chairman Greenbacks. This isn't irrational. It's complete insanity.
You guys are absolutely killing it. This is what I'm talking about. I stopped checking my insurance wallet, man. Shit's going up by the thousands. I'm about to have a heart attack up in here. You guys are insane.
No, we aren't insane. You're insane. That's TikTok, sort of the millennial version of the Bloomberg terminal. In this walking panic attack, he's talking about something called SafeMoon, a cryptocurrency that bills itself as safely trying to get you to the moon. For anyone over 45 years old, by the way, to the moon is slang for like your investment made a lot of money. Now, this cryptocurrency launched a little over a month ago, but it's already worth more than $1 billion in its market cap. Actually, I think at its peak, it was worth $6 billion. But don't worry, guys. It's not a bubble. It's not a bubble. Now, in this video, I'm going to be addressing the newest in a long line of meme coins like Dogecoin. But there are a lot more like SafeMoon that have popped up. And similar coins like Hogecoin. There's Safe Mars, Safe Galaxy, Safe Star, Safe anything cosmic, okay? Just know that. And just assume I'm applying this analysis to all of them because, one, they're going to come and go, but the scheme is the same forever. Because, yes, they're all slightly different, but their destiny is the same. And I'm going to try to tell you why.
Hola mi gente and welcome back to the channel. This is Sean.
What's good, and welcome back to Investing with Jax.
Welcome back everybody to a SafeMoon price update.
On this video, we're going to talk about Dogecoin and we're also going to talk about SafeMoon.
All right, Moon boys, listen. I know you guys are in the crypto space and it's the wolf here, JB. You know, I'm bullish on crypto these days. I used to be a bear. Now I'm a bull.
Ah, yes. What could be wrong with taking the advice of a convicted felon who got in trouble for, yes, hyping garbage? But I think we all agree, when Jordan Belfort starts shilling it, you know it's bad. Now, all these tokens we're going to be discussing today are kind of colloquially called meme tokens. They're structured not to be useful necessarily as a currency, but rather to maximize something called pumpamentals. Pumpamentals are the feature of a coin to generate hype, virality, buzz, with little regard to the usefulness of the coin. Buzz for its own sake. It's the reason you name a coin after a meme. It's just a joke. It's to attract the hype. Which is why, rather than having a white paper, which is actually about something, the whole project is built around things like to the moon or becoming millionaires. Or more specifically, in the case of SafeMoon, one of the things they did was, the first things, by the way, was confirmed a Dogecoin trading pair. Because what better way to pump a new meme coin with an older meme coin? And then later in their white paper, they talk about begin architecting the NFT exchange as well as video game integrations. Like, there's no real good reason for video game integrations and NFT exchanges as your first move as a currency, unless it's a publicity stunt, a gimmick to attract hype for its own sake. Now, another common pumpamental technique is minting trillions of tokens to keep your token below 1 cent. Psychologically, this makes people feel like it's affordable and easy to own, whereas most people feel like 1 Bitcoin might be way outside their budget. What's 100 million times 0 again? I forgot. The other factor here is that it gets people thinking about, oh my gosh, what if it hits a penny?
All right, you guys, so this is SafeMoon. SafeMoon, check it out. Look at this current price right now. All right, so let's say you invest only like $30, right? So you take that $30 times the current value of this coin right now, and you get about roughly 19 million coins. So let's say this thing goes up to about just 1 cent. Your potential almost $200,000.
Now, what this TikTok man doesn't tell you is that in order for SafeMoon to reach 1 penny, that would make the market cap of SafeMoon $6 trillion, triple the entire crypto market. So what sounds like super simple would break crypto. Now, the other pumpamentals are things like, they all say they're deflationary currencies. They're burning tokens. A rug pull is impossible. There's no way you possibly could get gypped off by this coin, guys. But one thing these all have in common is that the only goal of the crypto project is literally just to make the price go up. Literally in the name, Safe Moon. It's like, it's telling you it's a scam. Look, what do all get-rich-quick schemes do? They all say two things. They say, I'm going to get you rich, and this is definitely not a scam. That's what all scams have in common. I'll get you rich fast, and it's not a scam. And Safe Moon is literally telling you both of those things in one name. It's genius. Like they're like, we'll get you safely to the moon. Don't worry, this rocket will not explode.
We are unstoppable. Safe moon to the f***ing moon.
Imagine for a second, like the US dollar, the only reason people bought it was literally just because everyone was hyping the fact that if enough of us bought dollars, the value would go up instead of like actually to buy things. And the whole value of the asset is the price goes up. Isn't that a Ponzi scheme? I mean, literally, your whole thing is like, I got to get as many people in, otherwise I'm going to lose money. If I don't get more people in, I can't get my money out. That's the whole thing. Nothing actually behind it. And at the end of the day, all these cryptos have more in common than differences, which is why I wanted to address them all at the same time. Like they quibble about our development team is, more open and they give AMAs. Some are literal rug pulls, right? Some are just moonshots, but all of them have one thing in common. They're all just trying to get the price to the moon. It's a giant gamble. There's nothing serious about it. If you're doing it to gamble, I have no problem with you. But as you're putting $1,000 into SafeMoon, ask yourself, would you put $1,000 into lottery tickets? If that's the kind of person you are, fine. Go with God. But, a lot of people wouldn't do that, but they feel totally fine and like they're missing out if they're not doing that with SafeMoon. But okay, look, you're sitting there and maybe some of you still aren't convinced. So let me try one last ditch effort to try to convince you that maybe this is gambling and maybe a bad gamble. There's an old rule, right? That when people are talking about something, it's over. When your grandma starts talking about Bitcoin, is it such a good buy? Probably not, right? When everyone talks about something, the chances are the opportunity is mostly over. So look at the people who are talking about SafeMoon, hyping it to the moon, right? And ask yourself, is this a bubble? Jake Paul, Lance Stewart, Ben Phillips, icons of financial advice.
They don't understand. Just let them go.
Dude, how funny would it be if that's what convinced people? They're like, hey, a coin that launched a month ago being worth $1 billion. I wasn't on board with it being a scam, but now that I know Jake Paul's involved, I'm out. What if that's what got him? Like literally Jake Paul being involved, you're like, well, I was in till that moment. He got me there. Look, I hope you enjoyed the video. Diving into these cryptos is fun for me. Let me know if you get anything out of it. Am I preaching to the choir here? Is everyone who actually likes these things like, no, like FUD. Either way, whether you're invested in Dogecoin, SafeMoon, meme coins, whatever, there's one coin, one stock you can always pump. Cost nothing. Pumpzilla, guys, to the moon. Like and subscribe. It's free. Respect the pump. And I'll see you guys in the next one.
I know what you mean. This ain't what it seemed. Nothing but a trick. Trying to sell me on a dream. But that was where you lost me. Wake up and smell the coffee.
Hello, guys. Welcome to the $10 million studio. I'm your host, Coffeezilla. Just drinking my green drink, trying to recover from, all the blackout stuff. It's been tough on me. Toughest job in the world. But, look, why is that not picking up on the camera? I don't know. My camera has a thing with green for some reason sometimes. So I don't know what's going on there. But today we're talking about scammers, right? Back to it. You guys know what this channel's about. You were born to own a Lamborghini, not work a 9 to 5. I bet this is what most people think of when they think of scammer, right? Somebody posting obviously trite, idiotic statements to Instagram to appeal to a generation that idealizes materialism and equates consumerism with actual money and success. Whereas in reality, obviously, a lot of people, these people who own Lamborghinis are actually in a lot of debt. But that's not true. Scammers come in many different shapes and sizes, right? For every Ty Lopez, you have a Stephen Keen. I don't know if that's how you say his name, but he's going to jail for a long time probably, so I'm not going to bother to find out. This is a man who ran a Ponzi scheme, basically for rich people. It's like a hedge fund. He said he was trading cryptocurrencies and making 500% in a year. And people flock to his fund because he doesn't look like what you might imagine a scammer would look like. But that's what we want to debunk today. So he had a $90 million cryptocurrency hedge fund of other people's money. He was charged with securities fraud, pled guilty in federal court. Basically, he was using the money for himself and the strategies that he said existed did not exist in actual fact. But let's go through this scam because what I think is interesting about this is that he didn't just fool smart people with a lot of money. He also fooled these media outlets that are supposed to be trusted. And it's actually how he gained a lot of his popularity, which is something that I think you need to think about. Because some of you guys, you think you see somebody on the Wall Street Journal and you think, oh, this guy must be legit. Well, in 2018, if you'd looked at the Wall Street Journal, Bitcoin's crashing, that won't stop arbitrage traders from raking in millions. And it's a puff piece on Stephen Keen, where it says he returned 500% returns last year in fees. Now, is any of that true? No, obviously we know now that's a complete lie, but these people laundered this as if it was true, and he ended up getting a lot of business from these articles because people looked at this as trustworthy. In fact, in the DOJ's press release on this, they actually said that the profiles from the Wall Street Journal, things like that, are what made him experience substantial growth as new investors flock to the fund. Now, why do I tell you this? Because my point with this is that you cannot trust these, talking heads to tell you when something's legit, because it's clear that they don't know. Obviously, they didn't intend to promote a scammer, but they ended up doing so because they're not equipped to sniff these guys out, right? You know, you need your Coffeezillas. Honestly, I would have called this guy's BS in a hot second. And let me tell you how. Look at this pitch he did on Fast Money with CNBC, where he also fooled these idiots.
What's the price of Bitcoin? Well, the answer is not as simple as the Bitcoin bug at the lower left of your screen, and that's created a windfall for one very bright 21-year-old. Stefan Shin is...
He is bright. He's just almost $100 million. There's a certain type of brightness required for that, I guess.
The founder of Virgil Capital, a hedge fund that focuses on the different prices that Bitcoin is trading at on different exchanges. Stefan, we welcome you to the show.
Wait, what did she call his? Stefan. Okay, Stefan Shin. Got it. Look at this guy's mannerisms. He's like trying to, you know what he's dressed like? He's dressed like he wants to be Steve Jobs or something. Like, that's the thing. He really is going for that Steve Jobs vibe, isn't he? Got the sweatshirt, blue jeans. Oh, it's disgusting, dude. Whereas, Tai Lopez, he's going to get the Lambo. He's going to get the girls. This guy, he's trying to appear like he's, Mr. Steve Jobs, young boy in the flesh.
Thank you so much for having me.
So you put your college studies on hold in order to do this, and essentially you take advantage of the arbitrage that exists across exchanges?
Yep, exactly. So there's a bunch of different price discrepancies between all the markets and Bitcoin right now.
Yeah, don't you love this guy's just lying through his teeth? Isn't that amazing? Like, imagine doing that. You're going on live television, presumably, and you're just lying through your teeth. None of this is true. He admits it. He admitted it in one of the press releases. This is not true. He goes, I knew what I was doing was wrong. But look at this guy lie through his teeth. That's what I'm saying. You cannot predict a scammer just because they don't project it like they're not obviously a scammer. It doesn't mean they're not scamming.
And this is quite obvious for people like us at Virgil Capital who try and take advantage of these opportunities to make a lot of money.
How exactly do you do this?
Yeah, it's a good question. So right now, unlike the traditional equities markets or the Forex markets or something like that, you've got almost hundreds of different exchanges, each with their own different prices and different competing traders, right? So what we have is essentially a proprietary technology that connects to all these different exchanges.
Don't you love that? Proprietary technology. Classic. Go ahead.
Exchanges, and looks for these price differences and buys low in one and sells high in another.
Oh, the old buy low, sell high. Nice. Good arbitrage.
So that's what we do.
It can't be as simple as that. I mean, I'm sure there's some exchanges where you can't easily transfer foreign money.
Yeah, exactly. So when people first get into Bitcoin, they see these like 20%, 30% different.
Okay, calm down, COVID. Who's COVID in the background?
When they see these like 20%, 30% differences in price between exchanges, and their mind is boggled because there's nowhere else in the world where this exists, right? But it's obviously not as easy as it sounds, like you just mentioned. So essentially what we do is we look for the price differences as fast as we can, and we try and gobble them up before anyone else gets there, right?
Again, what's interesting about this guy is that he's like slightly sophisticated. It's a good idea, right? Capturing the differences in the prices of exchanges, arbitraging that. Yeah, it's a good idea. Was it actually happening? Absolutely not. Was he actually making 500% a year? Absolutely not. But there's no due diligence. If you claim to make a lot of money, if you dress like Steve Jobs, CNBC's happy to launder your reputation on live television.
And like you said before, there are these huge barrier of entries behind actually trading in these different markets. So it's not as easy as, say, just putting some US dollar in a US exchange account like Coinbase and then selling it in Korea, for example, right? You've got to have some banking relation, for example, in Korea, or some way to actually access those different markets in the different countries, which not everyone has.
So I'm curious, do you do it just with Bitcoin or do you do it with other digital currencies?
So, like, that guy was wondering, like, hey, can I get in this fund? Steven, whatever your name is.
Real quick question for you. So do you go home every single night flat, or do you take some risk on overnight as well?
Now, there was one part in this whole interview where I really knew that this guy's scamming, because you'll hear this every time a scammer walks onto the trading floor. Listen to this.
Or do you take some risk on overnight as well?
Yeah, that's a good question. So primarily what...
He says that's a good question to every question, by the way.
What we are is a market neutral fund, meaning that we're not exposed at all to the ups and downs or the roller coasters of the cryptocurrency market.
That's the lie. Hey, we don't have risk. We're a market neutral fund. Hey, we're making 500%, no risk.
Extent, unfortunately, because you miss out on a lot of FOMO, right? So that means that no matter what happens, even if the market goes up or down, we're still unexposed or completely hedged against the risk of Bitcoin crashing.
Classic.
You see that arbitrage opportunity diminishing over time?
Yeah, it's a good question. So if we actually...
He goes, it's a good question. Again. Everything's a good question. How do you feel about going to jail?
Yeah, that's a good question.
This guy's facing 20 years, and I think he's going to do a plea deal. I think I saw something for like 120 months, which is like 10 years. Well, I wonder if that's a good question to ask. Stefan would be open to interviewing. Wow. Well, guys, what do you think? Would you have been taken in by this pitch? Would you have seen 500% returns and said, that sounds realistic? But basically, in the end of the day, these investors are going to lose a lot of money. I think they're trying to get some of their money back, but obviously most of it has been spent, or he was also doing some really speculative trading that also failed. Because of course it is, right? He was trying to play off the fact that he was some boy wonder, some advanced mathematics guy, but the reality was he's just another scammer. Same as all these guys. Stay safe out there, guys. Hope you enjoyed this look at this guy. Don't fall for this stuff. If it looks too good to be true, probably is. See you in the next one.
I know what you mean. This ain't what it seemed. Nothing but a trick, trying to sell me on a dream, but that was where you lost me. Wake up and smell the coffee.
CryptoZoo.co. I am so excited about this project. It's so fun. It's a really fun game that makes you money.
A fun game that earns you money. How much did you guys make from CryptoZoo?
I lost around $50,000 in CryptoZoo.
I lost $40,000.
And I lost around $15,000 US dollars.
I lost $25,000.
$120,000. $500,000 Australian, which is $500,000 in CryptoZoo.
Shut up! No, you haven't.
Yeah, 500K.
Oh, no. Today, we're investigating Logan Paul's CryptoZoo, a blockchain game that made millions but never worked. Some of you guys think you know the story, but it goes so much deeper. I've uncovered sociopaths, billionaires, fake orphans. Did I mention fake orphans? And of course, at the center of it, we have Logan Paul himself, who has abandoned this thing, leaving thousands of fake orphans in his wake. Wait a second. Thousands of victims in his wake. Now, you'll be hearing from some of those people because their stories are heartbreaking. This is the first in a 3-part series that's been a year in the making. And if you like high-effort investigations like this one, please consider supporting this channel on Patreon. I don't take sponsors. We are viewer-supported. So if you want to and are able to, thank you. Either way, enjoy the video.
For the last 6 months, I've been working on my own NFT project. We have a massive team behind it and are probably out of pocket like $1 million just because we believe it's going to work. September 1st, CryptoZoo.co.
We don't scam. I've never scammed anyone before. Logan cares extremely deeply about his audience, loves his brand, doesn't have to scam to make money.
Welcome to part 1, the $1 million mystery that began this whole story. Like many people, I first heard about CryptoZoo from a podcast Logan runs called Impulsive, which was the experience of a lot of people that I spoke to.
So I first heard about it on the Logan Paul podcast.
Impulsive, I think. It was off one of the Impulsive episodes.
The thing that I'm most excited for, and this is the first time I've ever said anything about this, for the last 6 months, I've been working on my own NFT project. I think there needs to be a fresh take, and this project that I have is that fresh take.
Now look, at first, I was just as surprised at this pitch as anyone else because I just got finished roasting Logan for a different coin called Dink Doink, which his fans lost money on.
I'm a Dink Doink fan. It's the dumbest I've ever seen, and that's why I'm all in.
Come on over, take pictures of my feet, yeah.
It's comedic, it's fun, it's comedy.
Now look, I know Logan and his friends tried to make it look like Dink Doink was all about the memes, but it turns out they secretly were tied to the project, and Logan created the Dink Doink character himself and subsequently abandoned that project. So if you invested in it, you got blasted, and Logan rightfully took a lot of heat for Dink Doink, which is why I was surprised when he seemingly immediately jumped into another crypto project. But Logan insisted CryptoZoo, it was different. It wasn't his friend's project this time, it was his, and it wasn't even a project at all. It was a game that could earn you money.
I'm excited to launch my game.
You keep using and you just did it again, you keep using a word there. Game. You're not using like a project. It's a game.
It's a game. It's a really fun game that makes you money.
Now you might be wondering, how's it possible to earn money from a game? Well, let me try to break it down for you. This is how it was supposed to work. You started by buying this crypto token called Zoo, which is their in-game currency, and you use Zoo coins to then buy egg NFTs, which you can then hatch to become animals. You then can breed those two animals to become hybrid animals. For example, if you breed a gorilla and a kitten, you get a Gore Kitty. And the more rare the NFT, the higher the daily yield of Zoo tokens that animal earns you every day. Theoretically, it works almost like passive income. You can then burn your animal NFTs to release the Zoo they earned back to you, and from there you can invest it into eggs or just cash out. Now, some of you of the Egyptian persuasion might notice some triangular qualities to this game description. But let's not be too quick to judge, because remember, there are a lot of NFT games built on this model. It's called play to earn. Now, Logan admits that there are other games like his, but what's going to really make his stand out is that other games have randomly generated assets. His game has handmade art.
It's quick to make a digital asset with, unique randomly generated characteristics. We handmade art for the past 6 months, bro. Approval, very specific notes, 10 different artists making art for our project.
Now, I'll admit, this all sounds very enticing. Handmade art, a fun game that can earn you money, and one of the biggest influencers in the world backing it. You might think, how can I lose? Which is why when people were told all you had to do to play was buy an egg, people spent millions. Just on the first launch between ETH and Zoo, people bought $2.5 million worth of eggs in the first day. And did I mention the game hadn't even been launched yet? All people were buying was the marketing and the promises. And it wasn't just the NFTs they bought either. The Zoo token also skyrocketed in value, reaching a $2 billion market cap pre-game launch, right? The trading volume was in the tens of millions of dollars per day, which kind of is like Fortnite not coming out, but people trading tens of millions of dollars in V-Bucks every day. That's what this was like. And I know it sounds stupid to buy an influencer project, but you have to understand, people saw Logan as different.
It was Logan Paul at the end of the day. An internet personality that I actually trusted, that I actually kind of believed in.
Obviously, when someone so influential releases something, everyone wants to be a part of it.
I sort of believed in this false fallacy that everyone else started believing, that Logan Paul's a changed man.
I thought it was a safe place having a guy like that identified, like Logan Paul being the head of the project.
They had seen this story he had been telling everyone, that he was this reformed influencer, right? That he was no longer a reckless clout goblin just in it for the money. They thought this time it's different. Logan Paul couldn't possibly scam us, right? But as the game got closer to release, the CryptoZoo team started releasing the first ever photos of these animals. And come to find out, this handmade art story wasn't really true. It was actually Adobe stock photos mashed together. This was the sort of first red flag of this project. And I made a video about it at the time, but it was kind of surface level, and something didn't add up beneath the surface. Something where I just couldn't shut this case down in my head. It was actually part of the announcement video that something they said. See if you can spot it.
We have a massive team behind it and are probably out of pocket like $1 million just because we believe it's going to work.
On development.
Yeah.
That's the line that started this whole mystery. We spent $1 million on development. I couldn't get this out of my head. You know, is he lying? There's no way he expects people to believe he spent it on art. So wait, maybe he spent it on blockchain stuff, right? That's what I thought. But then I audited the smart contract, and it's not handmade at all. It's not even original. It's what's called a fork, a copy of, some other code that exists out there. One of them is called Floki Shib X, which launched before it. So where'd this $1 million go? I didn't understand. And Logan just kept repeating this claim.
We put hundreds of thousands of dollars in it. Personally, the whole team, $1 million plus.
Now, at the time I'm looking into this, there's a teaser going around for Hatch Day, which is the day you can hatch your egg NFTs. And it kind of symbolized the true launch of CryptoZoo. So I thought, maybe this is it. Maybe this is where they spent all the money on their game. Even their community manager, Ben Roth, promised people, after Hatch Day, things will take a turn for the 180. So I put Ben Roth on the board too. I needed to know all the characters in CryptoZoo. And I waited. And finally, on November 3rd, 2021, Ben Roth turned out to be right. Things did take a turn on Hatch Day, only for the worse. Let's meet one of the victims, Helicopter Bob, to explain more.
My name is Rob. Helicopter Bob lost just under $7,000 with CryptoZoo.
And the first thing I asked Bob was about his animals, if he was making money with CryptoZoo, how much he made, and if the passive yield worked.
Oh, it never did from the beginning. It wasn't even written into the contract where it showed that you were actually yielding zoo, but there was nothing that was actually, backing that up. There was no way to claim your yield. There never was.
Wait. Play that again. Did you hear that?
There was no way to claim your yield. There never was.
Hold on. The core mechanic of CryptoZoo, that you can make money with these stupid animals, didn't even work on launch day. And still, to this day, a year later, still does not work, is what the investors are saying. Which, this is just crazy. People spent millions of dollars on these eggs. But it even gets worse because I kept talking to people and I discovered something. Because remember I told you could buy eggs with those zoo coins? Well, apparently they also made it so you could buy them with Ethereum. And on the day of selling, about half of these purchases took place with Ethereum. Only it turns out for the people who spent ETH, not only did the yield part of it not work, did the NFTs not pay you, you also couldn't even hatch them.
So I acquired a bunch of eggs, and I actually want to play the game. I didn't acquire the eggs with the intent of keeping them. I actually wanted to hatch them and see what I got out of them and play in this ecosystem that's been advertised or whatever, right? And then I can't do anything. It's not showing up on the website when I connect my wallet, etc., etc. So I'm a little baffled. I'm like, I must be doing something wrong. So I open up a support ticket. I open up a support ticket with CryptoZoo, and Ben Roth is actually the person answering my support ticket. Oh yeah, no, it's down for the moment, but we're working on it. Let me tell you, it's never been up.
Wait, you can't even hatch?
No, I'm telling you, it's just a picture. There's nothing I could do with it.
You're kidding! You can't hatch?
There's nothing I could do with it. You could ask any of those community guys. That's basically worth nothing whatsoever.
Wow. So on launch day, basically nothing worked, and a year later, that's still true. Now, after this was discovered, the price of Zoo fell 63% in just 24 hours. And at this point, Logan Paul basically goes silent on CryptoZoo. No more podcast mentions, no more saying he handmade art. CryptoZoo already got millions in investments, but Logan only speaks in the Discord twice over the next year to say, quote, sober, currently shaking my head, and yo. That was his contribution to this project. Meanwhile, his community manager, Ben Roth, was actively claiming that Logan was going to be marketing CryptoZoo any day now. He told people things like, Logan is an uncontrollable marketing guru. It's over when we launch. And when we have a product to market, it'll get marketed. And marketing will crush. I promise you. And this disconnect between Logan abandoning the project and his team on CryptoZoo saying that it was going to be any day now, left investors feeling like they were being led on.
All he had to do was go on and tell us, look, there's something going on with this project, I'm abandoning it, or whatever, before people got more and more trapped. And promising, yeah, this is going to be great. But when it came to actually doing anything, he just hid away from it.
Have some decency to come out, talk to the people that invested initially, that invested along the way on all of the fake and false promises, on all of the false hype, and be honest with people.
Because surely Logan Paul, who's got this $1 billion hydration company and a WWE star, is got enough money. He doesn't need to rug us lot.
And it's because of these false promises about marketing that these poor investors believed in CryptoZoo so long. They sat and watched every Logan Paul episode trying to guess and decipher when this so-called marketing push would happen. And Logan and his team really fed into this with a lot of cryptic messages. Only a month after CryptoZoo's launch, the hatch day, they started teasing this.
Not too much of this is out, but he's been working on a massive project.
And one of them will be the biggest thing I ever do. It's like my life and soul is put into this project, which is where most of my time these days goes.
Wow, surely this secret project that Logan put his soul into is CryptoZoo, right? You know, the project he launched a month ago? Well, his fans certainly thought so.
I'm like, holy cow, it makes so much sense. He's talking about CryptoZoo. Ben and the dudes are like putting smiley faces and egging the rest of the community. Like, this is it, guys. You know, this is what we've been working towards. I mean, this is it. This it's finally happening. Logan's gonna market the project, and they kept saying that Logan's gonna market the project, and it's gonna change everything.
So now imagine their surprise when another clip surfaces of Logan finally admitting this secret project isn't CryptoZoo at all. It's something else entirely.
I'll tell you about this project when we get closer to launch. This project line is going to be... Is that the thing with the egg? The zoo? No. Okay, this one's going to be, this will be crazy I've ever done.
Oh man, can you imagine if you're one of these investors and Logan Paul's going pitching this new secret project and you're thinking it's CryptoZoo and someone's like, oh, is it that thing with the eggs? And he's like, no, definitely not. That was the last project. This is the real project that I'm working on. Thankfully, people didn't just let this slide, because as he went around making the rounds on his new project called 99 Originals, people were like, hey, didn't you just abandon your last one? And unsurprisingly, it's not his fault. It's the bad actors who ruined the project.
As I see people giving multiple explanations for why these haven't worked, and you know there's accusations out there. How does it make you feel when people are doing these takedown videos about your NFT projects previously?
It's sad because of what I just said. There's so much going on behind the scenes. Like, Doug, I'm not the bad guy here.
Yeah.
There's some actual out there.
Yeah.
And it's not me. Like, I'm here to build.
This is a space where a lot of people do see dollar signs. Like any burgeoning industry, if there's money to be made, there's going to be both good and bad people.
There's a lot of shady characters in the crypto space. I'm learning all of it. We had an issue with CryptoZoo where our lead developer took the code that he made, fled to Switzerland, and like held it hostage for $1 million. Like behind the scenes drama that took a stick and stuck it in the spokes of my wheels.
Oh, well, that wasn't expected. There's a shady developer who held up Logan's code hostage in Switzerland. That's why this hasn't worked the whole time. He held it hostage for $1 million. Well, let's add that to the board. I mean, isn't the mystery solved? Now, obviously, the first thing I wanted to do was hunt down this developer, who we'll be calling Z here, and find out the truth of what happened. Why did he steal Logan's code for $1 million? However, I finally got a hold of him, and when I did, he admitted he took the code hostage, but he says the reason for it was nothing like what Logan had said.
He literally never paid me anything at all, ever. I never was paid. And, we got to a point when I was working on it where I just realized they were just going to try to steal all of my work and not pay me. And so I took all of the source code private. And I just kind of spent like a month just trying to negotiate and get something figured out where I would finally get paid. Because I'm on my end, I have a team of 30 engineers, so I'm earning $50,000 a week on building this thing. And the only thing they brought to the table were a bunch of Photoshop JPEGs.
So Z claims he wasn't blackmailing anyone. He had to hire a team to develop this whole thing, and he just wanted to be paid for the work they did. According to him, they negotiated a $1 million payday for this whole project. And from the second I heard that, I thought, oh, that's interesting, because Logan claims he spent $1 million on this whole thing. And this developer's saying he's owed $1 million on this project. Now, I didn't want to just take one person's word for it, so I later confirmed with another developer who worked for something called the Blockchain Center that he also hadn't been paid.
We've been paid nothing. I would have loved to have Zoo, but I don't have any.
So that's multiple sources working on the CryptoZoo team project who were not paid. Now, obviously, these are big accusations, which is why I wanted to confront Logan Paul on them. But unfortunately, we're not exactly on speaking terms. So I wondered, how could I speak to Logan without speaking to Logan? And that's when I found out there was someone who might know just as much about this whole story.
And I will explain everything one day with my manager, who's like in charge now.
Logan Paul's manager, a guy named Jeff Levin. He might be just what we need to settle this whole thing. So I gave him a call.
Hello?
Hey, Jeff. Hey, sorry to bother you. This is Steven with Coffeezilla. I'm calling because I've heard reports that CryptoZoo hasn't paid their development team, and I'm just reaching out for comment before I do this story. I got your number from one of the development team, and they just wanted to... I just want to follow up on that.
I have no comment for it.
Okay, are you guys denying it, or are you saying it's not true?
Just no comment. I don't think that the information is true.
Okay, because they're saying $1 million hasn't been paid in development for CryptoZoo, and Logan Paul said publicly that it has been paid. So, I mean, it's a pretty serious accusation, and obviously, I don't want to just run a story if you guys have a whole side to your story here.
Your job as someone that is reporting news is to actually verify correct news.
Right, that's why I'm calling you.
I know, and that's legal grounds for that stuff. So I'm just telling you, legally, you have to report correct news with verifiable information.
Right, that's why I'm calling you. They've given me a lot of things. A lot of evidence.
Okay, well, okay. You can have the evidence you want, but I'm just letting you know, if you report anything on us, I appreciate your business. I appreciate you as a person. And I'm just telling you, from a legal standpoint, as we've been advised always, is if anybody reports fake news, that's where we won't,
Yeah, this call was a mess. Jeff, Logan's manager, seems to be implying that I'm not allowed to repeat allegations his own development team made, even though Logan can go on podcasts and publicly accuse those developers of stealing his code. Not only that, he's the one who refuses to provide any evidence, but seems to sort of be implying that maybe we'll sue you if you tell this to anyone, which he then denies doing when I ask him if that's what he's doing.
Told you I have no comment to it. Telling you once again, from a legal standpoint, you have to report truth. If you do not verify truths, then you're just allegations, and those then will be handled the way that we want to handle them.
Wait, so you're saying you refuse to give me proof that the allegations aren't true, but if I report on the allegations, you guys might sue.
No, I did not say that. I did not say that.
All right, I'm trying to read between the lines.
Don't read between the lines.
Okay.
Listen to the exact words that I'm saying.
Okay.
Listen to the exact words I'm saying.
I'm listening.
I have no comment on the situation.
Okay.
Your job legally is to report facts. If you don't report facts on the information you're given, it is illegal.
Yes, that was a real conversation with a real person. Now, I'm no lawyer, but I don't think it's a crime to say that multiple developers say they haven't been paid, and Logan's team refuses to provide any evidence or statements or wire transfers that they have. Which, by the way, seems incredibly ironic, given just how much Logan whines about not being paid by Floyd Mayweather.
Where's my money, bitch? Floyd never paid me for our fight. Who am I, the IRS?
Nope, but you might be the CryptoZoo dev team. Now, in all seriousness, I do want to acknowledge something which actually kind of looks bad a bit on the developers, because it turns out very few written contracts were actually done. So much of this were verbal deals like, oh, we'll take care of you. We'll give you $350K. We'll give you $1 million. We'll give you whatever. But then when it was time to actually sign the deals, there's just always delays.
What kind of promises were made to you? Verbal promises, basically. So verbal promises, and then we followed up with like a physical paper agreement. But that's when communication broke down.
This is where I think the dev guys screwed up and led to this whole situation of like, okay, we're just going to take the code private until you pay us for our work. And to be clear, I'm not justifying not paying someone for what they did. I'm just playing devil's advocate and saying this could have all been avoided by just getting every detail in writing. And I think it's just a good general lesson. But if you're thinking that that's the $1 million mystery solved, well, no, because this still doesn't make sense. Why not just pay the dev team what you publicly said you kind of already paid them? Why not pay for a game that now isn't launched and now investors are so angry about? Why not pay when you already made millions from minting the eggs on this game? Well, this is where things get even stranger, because right when I was ready to pin everything on Logan, and believe me, he is at fault, I was speaking to the Z developer, and I heard a name that I hadn't heard before.
I basically came in with Eddie, and Eddie promised me 5% of the tokens and $1 million. He literally never paid me.
Wait a second. Who's Eddie? I thought that all of this was Logan Paul. I only put it together when the Blockchain Center guys also said a similar thing about their deal. They said they were promised $350K, and it was Ibanez. They say they had no communications with Logan. But we know they weren't talking about different people. They both dealt with the same guy. So the guy's name, I put it together, must be Eddie Ibanez. Turns out he was managing the developers. What's this random guy doing in Logan Paul's project? And who is he? Who is Eddie Ibanez?
Yes, hi, my name's Eddie Ibanez, lead developer here at CryptoZoo.
This reporter says Eddie's entire story is fake.
Wait, what?
To continuously lie, lead people on, hype people up, to put more money in, all the while in the background, things are going down, things are hitting the fan, and you've left us holding the bag.
Logan, you stole 40 million in tokens from me. You are a scam artist. You are a liar, and you betrayed your own community. You aren't that guy. Logan replies, oh, trust me, bro. I am that guy.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm retiring from YouTube. That's right, I'm done. Susan's taken advantage of me for far too long, been paying her way too much money, and I'm sick of it, quite frankly. And I need to make this financial decision for me, for my family. Look, this $10 million studio, it's expensive. The first mortgage payment came in, and quite frankly, I am drowning in debt. And enough is enough, guys. A man can only take so much before he has to finally throw in the towel. But before I do it, I need to expose the biggest con artists in the entire fake guru industry. I've never talked about them because, I didn't want to burn any bridges. I knew that I wanted to be nice to these guys. I mean, it's not even just one. It's actually a group of three. Okay, 3 people that I've never called out because I'm afraid they have big shot lawyers. But it's finally time I called them out. And those 3 people are Tom Nash, Spencer Cornelia, and Mike Whitted. I know you guys thought we were all friendly and stuff like that, but I was really like a little mole inside their operation. I was only pretending so that I could later expose them for who they really are. That's right. Bring the screen down, boys. Spencer Cornelia to start. Now, many of you may know Spencer as a real estate investor, someone who's passionate about finance, but I see a Photoshop artist. See, he claims in his banner that he was on Wheel of Fortune, his name. But I've looked through literally thousands of hours of footage and literally found no mentions of the name Spencer Cornelia. Additionally, when you look at below this, I know a lot of people would miss this little detail, but it says Guru Killa, which rhymes, I don't know if you guys know this, with Coffeezilla, which can only mean one thing. Spencer Cornelia may have blood on his hands. Guys, when Caleb Maddox went missing, I always wondered, after my live stream, he said he was going to make daily videos. He never did. And I think at this point, even the police are asking, where is Caleb Maddox? And does the Guru Killa have anything to do with it? I don't know if Spencer did it, But let's just look in those eyes real quick, and I think we can make a pretty reasonable assumption. Next bridge I'm burning, Tom Nash. This man is a thumbnail plagiarist. He has one good thumbnail idea and proceeds to plagiarize it off himself for months with no attribution. Disgusting. And I get it, to the common man, you see 6 distinct thumbnails. I see 6 copies. Next, and this one actually hurts. Mike Winnet, right? Many of you, including myself, were fooled by this guy for a very long time. Mike has a successful show called Entrepreneur Bingo. I myself and many others were a fan of this, where he's hanging out in this gigantic office space. You see him as successful and, you know, popular, but the truth is far more sinister. See, I was leaked by one of Mike's interns this shocking photo. This is the real state of Entrepreneur Bingo. It's all been a green screen. We caught him, boys. We caught him. Who would lie to their audience with something like this? Let me just ask you this. What kind of psycho would tell their audience months and months, for weeks and weeks, that they're somewhere they're not? Not me. I've never lied to you guys in my life. I've never been wrong about anything, and literally never known it was green screen until this shocking footage came out. Mike, exposed. Now, guys, now that I've burned those bridges, there's no going back on this retirement. There's no way I could show my face in this circle again. So let's just go all the way through. Why am I retiring? Because it's not just randomly. I'm not doing this for no reason. It's because I recently learned the truth about retirement that people aren't going to tell you. See, I watched Joshua Fluke's video on retirement. You may know him. He's been on the podcast before. Josh has a very mainstream view of retirement. Let's hear what it is.
This is what retirement actually looks like. This is what retirement looks like.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what I used to believe about retirement. That retirement means you're old. But that was back when I was a big dum-dum like Josh Fluke. And I didn't mean to expose him there, but Josh, sorry, you're in the crosshairs right now. Everybody's getting it on retirement day. See, Joshua Fluke is totally wrong about retirement, as are most people. Most people think of retirement as you save up money so that you can retire. I learned recently that you have to retire to make enough money to retire, which is why I'm retiring. Guys, welcome to my retirement video and why you should retire. And yes, we're 4 minutes and 30 seconds in and I'm just getting to the point of this video, but hold on, guys. It's my retirement video. I can do it how I want. So this may be the most important little slide deck you've ever seen. It's Retirement 101 by Coffeezilla, because if you're in the old model, you probably think that retirement is for old people, and that's the mistake. This lie, this false narrative is being mostly propagated by one man, Joshua Fluke, the YouTuber. The truth is, retirement's made to make you more money, and I know that's confusing to a lot of you, so let me explain. See, the truth is, I used to be negative towards retirement too. I mean, like, back in the day, a long time ago, I was downing people who did this. I was hating on them. I was making fun of them and their taglines, but that's before I knew the truth, guys. That's before I got enlightened. I used to propagate this poor mindset, this poor mentality, you know, and that's how you stay poor, is by not retiring early. But luckily, guys, I'm a nonstop learner, so eventually I figured it out. And it's also a great way to get job security, guys, because as the old saying goes, once you retire, you can never be fired. Now, I want you guys to know also, arm yourself with evidence, as they say, because all the greats have done it. Listen, Conor McGregor, sure you know who he is. He retired. He said, I have decided to retire young. Thanks for the cheese. Catch you later. Now, what happened years after he retired? After retiring from fighting, he made the most money he had ever made in his career fighting. Look, this is the face of a man making a lot of money. I know it may not look like it, but wow, this is the face of a winner. Now, I know you're savvy and you want more evidence. Fine. Evidence number 2, we have Linus Tech Tips. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a small little YouTuber who thought of retiring 10 months ago. He announced it. He got millions of views. The video went viral because all of a sudden everyone freaked out. Oh, he's retiring. He's retiring. Now look at him. He's the #1 tech YouTuber. But maybe you're not into these YouTubers, right? You want to know about traditional media. Maybe you don't trust this new showbiz, right? Take a look at old showbiz. Jay Leno was about to be fired, so he retired. He said he was handing over the show to Conan O'Brien.
Good luck next week, my friend. Jay, thank you for everything. All the best.
And then he took it back.
Yeah, I'll take the show back.
Once you retire, you can never be fired. Guys, there are even people you may not have even known are retired and are successful because of it. This is PewDiePie. I've already retired, he said. Don't believe me? Roll the clip.
I've already retired.
Now look at him. Look, he's one of the biggest YouTubers now. This is how you get successful, guys. Other big YouTubers you may know, Morgs, obviously one of the greats on YouTube. He retired.
Sorry guys, I'm sorry Team Morgs. I can't do this. I'm quitting YouTube.
Now look at him. Guys, this is just a pattern of behavior. I mean, I don't mean to shake you guys up with these things, but as Uncle Ben says, facts don't care about your feelings. Now that just about covers it, but I just wanted to conclude for you guys a little bit here. I am retiring. Listen, that's fact number one. I had to do it for the sake of my career. I decided I was finally ready to get serious about working, so I had to quit. I also wanted to say, please smash like and subscribe, guys, because big things are coming in my retirement. Because I may be quitting, but it's just the beginning. When I saw that someone stole $1 billion in NFTs by right-clicking all of them, I instantly wanted to steal them too. After all, it's just kind of funny the idea of having every NFT in existence contained in one single hard drive. Lucky for me, the person who created it hosted the project on something called NFT Bay, and he offered a torrent for anyone who wanted it. Yes, I know, lock me up. I was here to steal all your NFTs. That was the plan. Except, well, it was a pretty big file. Now, looking at my current disk size, I decided that would be kind of impractical. And even if I wanted to download this, it would take me like 6 months with my current internet speed. So my next idea was just to contact the creator, Jeffrey, and see if he'd be willing to help me find some way to get the files faster. I told him to think of the kids. His response was this. He said it's dangerous to actually get them. IPFS is essentially dark web. Downloading images from dark web and distributing them en masse would be a lovely way to get to jail fast, especially if you're talking about blindly just downloading them all. Now I was confused. He had downloaded them. Why couldn't I? He replied, I took steps to protect myself and anyone who jumped on the torrent. It's funny, actually. Maybe we can catch up tomorrow. I decided that would be a good idea. Maybe he could explain how I could get this $1 billion NFT heist. But when I got on the call, our conversation took a totally different turn, and I want you to hear it. Wait a second. The NFT Bay holds all the NFTs but doesn't?
No, it doesn't. When I created the project originally, I said it was an art project. And along the way, I realized to demonstrate the message that needed to be conveyed to teach people about NFTs, the actual data did not matter.
What is the message? I mean, you have a 17 terabyte file.
Well, the message is, what are people actually purchasing with NFTs? Coffee? Like, what do people think that they're actually purchasing?
I imagine they think they're buying a picture, basically, right? The rights to a picture. Most of the time. That's what most people think of NFTs as.
Yeah, the one way I like to look at it is you've got one side that's essentially selling a treasure map or directions on how to get to treasure. And the other side thinks that they're buying treasure, the actual treasure. On one side, we've got people that think that they're buying the artwork, the treasure, right? And that's what they think is value. And the other side, we have people exploiting those people and selling treasure maps, how to get to the treasure. So what I wanted to highlight in the project is a lot of people were saying that the image is valuable, the artwork is valuable because it's stored on the blockchain. It's not stored on the blockchain. It's just a hyperlink.
Wait, hold on a second. When I buy an NFT of a Bored Ape or a Lazy Lion, I'm not actually purchasing that picture? What am I actually buying?
Nope. You're essentially buying a piece of data, and that data has a link to where the image can be located.
So like a URL? Is that what you're saying?
It's a URL. Go look at Etherscan and look at the contract and have a look at it. Literally, people are buying a link, like directions on a treasure map to a treasure. And they're saying that the treasure is the artwork. And the only reason people are buying stuff is for the treasure or the artwork. But what's actually being sold is the directions to the treasure.
Wait a second. I know a lot of people, like, why not just host the file on the blockchain? Why not just host the picture on the blockchain?
Because the cost. In 2016, it was calculated it would cost $76,000 per gigabyte to store on the blockchain.
Oh, it's got to have gotten worse, way worse.
There's been blockchain size increases and the costs have got worse. It'd be nice to do that calculation again. But yeah, so back to your original question, what's in the torrent? Well, it contains chunks of blockchain data, the NFTs themselves, and the rest is, if you're from a Unix background, fallocate. Now, when I launched the project, I said specifically that this would be uploaded to Internet Archive, and it's now on the Internet Archive, and it serves as just an example of the art project, of spreading the message of what people are actually purchasing. And it compressed from 18 terabytes down to 12 gigabytes.
You're going to really people off with this one. I got to tell you, Jeffrey. Finding this out, I do find it ironic that, number one, I was so excited about this. I just took it at face value. But also I noticed a lot of media companies did too. I mean, you got the BBC, The Verge, Vice, and many more to run articles about this NFT heist. I guess you heisted the NFTs, but everyone's thinking of you like right-clicking NFTs. But you didn't do that.
No. It's actually quite dangerous to heist all the NFTs, because if you think about it, what's actually happening is an NFT, by definition, is essentially an artwork, is a linking to a file.
Yeah.
Right? And if you were to download all the links to file, and then you were to share that with the world, that's actually quite legally dangerous.
Oh, right. Well, because it could have anything on there anyways.
It's the internet. It can have anything. IPFS is essentially the dark web, right? And anyone can put anything onto the blockchain. Anyone can put anything onto the blockchain. And so if you're talking about downloading all the links from all the blockchain and then serving that, that's probably a bad idea.
Was that an intended effect of this whole project, is that like most people would not only confuse you, but also just take you at face value? Sort of like what people are doing with NFTs, where I'm buying a Bored Ape. I see a picture of a Bored Ape, so I assume that's what I'm buying. But in actual fact, you're telling me I'm actually buying a hyperlink or like a pointer to that file, which I technically do not own. I mean, or do I? It's confusing.
You don't own it. Yeah, it is confusing. There actually are some NFTs, and to be clear, there's some NFTs where the quality of the NFT is so poor, it's like pixel art, that they don't need to link it to elsewhere. Mm-hmm. They don't need a link as a hyperlink. But that is like the exception. Most are actually hyperlinks to an image. Kotaku described it as the heist of the century, right? Because like all the NFTs have been downloaded. It always was a performance artwork, just to write that there on popular culture of everyone. One side is saying these have value, and the other side is saying they don't have value. And it was just this beautiful pop culture piece to like focus the narrative on educating people what they're actually buying. So in some ways, yes, it was a heist, but it wasn't the heist of the actual images. Well, it was actually somewhat of a media heist.
Yeah, and also kind of the heist of what the NFTs actually are, right? Because you did actually download the blockchain in the NFT bay. So in a way, you actually have the what actually those people own, which is the hyperlinks, but you don't have the files, which they also don't have, which is kind of, yeah, that I get. I get what you're doing. You're going to piss a lot of people off with this one, but I do have to ask, okay, do you own the IFPS like address? Like, let's say I buy a Pudgy Penguin. Do I own that domain where the file's located? What do I own?
You own a entry in a database that directs you how to access that image on IPFS. That's it.
So theoretically, someone could go in and change the data at the IFPS or the drive link or wherever they're storing the data.
Happens all the time. If you're following NFTs and the developments, it's called a rug pull. They sell the database entry on blockchain, and blockchain is immutable and it cannot be updated. But they host the image elsewhere, say on Google Photos or Google Drive. And then once the art is sold, the database entry is sold, they just switch it to a picture of a rug.
Okay. So,
yeah.
So it's a play on the rug pull. That's good. That's really, is that common?
It's super common. So this isn't a rug pull. This is something else. We're originally, and always was, meant to be something that's a little bit funny. It's a pop cultural reference and also spark conversation about intellectual property ownership and is the NFT valuable?
It is funny that all these people who see themselves as like seeing through what an NFT is covered your piece, but didn't understand actually what it was, myself sort of included. Here's my thought. If this is all true, like, doesn't this mean that people the joke of like right click, save as, you know, of somebody else's NFT picture, whatever, it's kind of like they own it more than you do as the NFT owner. You own the blockchain like database link. Like you own a link. You don't even own the link. You just have a link. They own the actual data. Who owns the Pudgy Penguin more? The guy with the actual data or the guy with like the pointer to the data?
That's what's so funny. That's why I use the expression treasure maps and treasure, right? So if you have the treasure, the Pudgy Penguin, you have the treasure. Meanwhile, everyone is selling links or links to the treasure. Now, this is the funny thing. Let's say the Pudgy Penguin exists on a web host somewhere.
Sure.
There's nothing stopping people from creating multiple links or multiple NFTs or multiple treasure maps to that treasure. And it happens all the time. There is no proof of authenticity. You can have one treasure and 1,000 treasure maps.
I guess they would argue, it's just about who's creating the treasure map. If it's like, this is what's confusing to me. Look, I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second here. I think a lot of people would say, okay, this is very cute, but everyone just sort of accepts NFTs have value and there has to be a place for digital artists. This is where I'm at. I think it's good that digital artists can make a living. I just think it's been hijacked by a bunch of scams. What do you think this means for what NFTs are or could be sold as?
It's a tough question. I suppose we have to look at where we are right now in society. If we look at things very carefully, we have over $1 billion in venture capital invested by venture capitalists. Like, a solid billion of venture capital is being poured into the technology industry to find a use for blockchain. Now, technologists have yet to find a proper use for blockchain. We're still trying to find the use. At the same time, we have social media influencers that are available for purchase. And then finally, we have the final thing, which is the communities. We have DAOs, which are essentially you buy a token. The token, the best way I can explain that is timeshare. So to join the community, you buy a piece of timeshare, and now your ownership of that timeshare, you're now incentivized to promote it. So we've got companies who invested money in, we've got venture capitalists who invested a lot of money into companies, incentivized to promote. We've got social media influencers who are getting paid to promote and get a cut. And now all of a sudden we've got communities themselves that are now incentivized to promote. So it's really hard to tell what is natural. If we look back historically at how communities formed, people turn up around an art project because they love it. They think it's cool, it's got a vibe, it's got what else have you. But now with tokenization of everything, people are turning around and turning up because they can make coin. They're
financially vested in this thing doing well. I do think it's weird too. Look, sometimes when I call out scams, the community freaks out. I mean, because they are financially sort of vested. They're activist investors, basically, is what you can create if you sort of have these communities spring up. Do you think NFTs are worthless?
I don't know. I do know that a lot of people are being exploited and being left to hold the bag. It's funny you mention any criticism, because any criticism automatically gets said that's FUD.
Right.
Right? They just dismiss it all as FUD.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how rational of an argument you can put forward, that even the technology industry is seriously divided about these technologies, and we've yet to find a usage for it. But meanwhile, we've got art galleries with 1.4 million Twitter followers about to do an NFT gallery sale. And we've got people, I'm getting emails as a result of NFT Bay of people like, I don't have a job. I'm trying to put my son through college. I've just got some coin. I got the crypto.com wallet. I've got the Coinbase wallet. Which coins should I purchase? Can you give me some free NFTs? I want to change my life.
I think a lot of people are going to take issue with the idea there's been no use found for it. I think a lot of people are going to say, okay, yeah, it's a new technology. They're going to liken it to the internet. Look, the internet, you couldn't have expected much early on. You would have missed what it's going to become and how it's going to change everything. They would say, look, same thing with crypto. Give us 10 years. We'll build that future. You kind of got to just like trust us.
It's factually correct that we've yet to find actual use for this technology. Yet. Doesn't mean that in the future we may
for
not
like
find
money. I mean, like for
right
as like a currency. I mean, as like these smart chain things, they're really interesting. I think there's some cool uses of it. I think you could make the argument, oh, you can do everything that you can do on a smart chain in like a website or whatever. But I guess the idea is that you can decentralize it. You don't have to have anything running it. You can replace a lot of fin stuff with like new fintechs. I don't know. I think you could find something.
Yeah, but I'm open. I went through the early internet and I see a lot of things that people are building. It reminds me of the early internet. So I'm open that there could be value in the future.
Right.
But the thing that worries me right now, and especially in the NFT space, I'm getting emails from people essentially saying I'm buying coins because I hope to change my life. Like, so we still haven't found utility. And meanwhile, these coins are increasing in value. There's these, if you go to Twitter Spaces, Coffee, and just any of the Twitter Spaces, you'll hear the scams are so brazen.
Oh,
it's all pump and
absolutely
dump.
agree. I mean, I share your deep concern that a lot of these coins are going to just wreck people.
I suppose what I'm getting at is now the right time for those for those people who are desperate and who could be exploited to be getting into crypto?
No, but you can't stop them from. You can't stop them from trying, and people are all very excited about the technology. Yeah, it's very interesting. I think a lot of people who missed the tech boom are trying to get in on the blockchain and get themselves rich without understanding what's sort of going on. And this is why I find this project actually so interesting, is because you're sort of uncovering that like a lot of us do not understand NFTs too well. Like here's another question. When I buy an NFT, do I own the copyright to that NFT?
Some NFTs, yes. There are things like Bored Ape Yacht Club. They specifically have gone out there and said that you do, right? Okay. And this is why you're starting to see things like Bored Ape Yacht Club on shoes, etc.
Right.
They are the exception. The majority of the things that you're seeing now that are created, that is not the case.
Do you think some people say
not even the picture?
Right. You're right. Yeah, you own the hyperlink to the picture. It's so confusing. Do you agree with people like Gary Vee who think that in the future all contracts are going to sort of be signed on the blockchain or done on the blockchain or stuff like this? Like NFTs basically are going to be tokenized versions of ownership that could represent anything. A house, insurance contract, anything.
I've been thinking a lot about that, actually. I've been actually thinking of V2 of the NFT Bay. We've got something cooking, but that's not for now. But specifically been thinking about Gary Vee and what he's saying there. If you look at how people use their devices right now, like the younger generations, they create alternative accounts. They create sock puppet accounts. They're not under their real names.
Yeah.
Right. So the way they're using technology and their privacy model is very different. So if we go to that idea that everything's conducted on the blockchain, if we're talking about what the blockchain is, it means anyone can read how much money you have, where you shop, where you visit, which airline you use. Like, if everything is on the blockchain as they talk about, that essentially means anyone can read anything about your lives. And if we look at where we are right now in society, we're seeing a lot of pushback over Facebook and how Facebook is run and how they're using that information in bad ways. Sure. And if we hit this blockchain nirvana where everything's on the blockchain, then we've created a world that is much worse than just Facebook. Instead of a singular company owning our data, no one essentially owns your data. Anyone can read your data, and that's anyone.
Right, because I guess right now we just have a bunch of wallet addresses. And so it seems like everyone's anonymous. We could fast forward this 5 years. Most of these wallet addresses are going to have names attached to them. You're going to see the Macy's. If the utopia comes true, I guess, you're going to see the Target blockchain. You're going to see. So when you see your buddy's wallet, you're going to see everywhere they shop.
Well, right now, there's actually two real huge identifiers. You can buy an ENS domain or .eth, and that will actually assign a name to a wallet, and that will actually de-anonymize the wallet. I've seen videos of yourself, Coffee, where you've looked at NFT scams where they've actually like that's the name. It's no longer a wallet address. It's a name you can talk over the radio with.
Right.
And the other thing is you can always see currently you can see how much money is in a wallet or how much money someone owns or has and how much money was transacted. But with NFTs, it's not necessarily just about money. It can be a contract. And right now the contract is a link to an image. What happens in the world, we talk about the benefits of immutability, and data on the blockchain is immutable, and that is a great thing. But is it really? Like, if anyone can publish anything as a link and send it to your wallet, is that a great thing for society?
Yeah, I mean, you could send all sorts of crazy stuff.
Anything. And we learned a lot of lessons in Web 1, Web 2 about spam, did we not?
Sure. Yeah, well, you already see that in wallets where like in OpenSea, they've had to make it possible to hide certain parts because people were getting all these basically fake collections spammed into their wallets, famous people's wallets, so that other people would see that and perceive value to that collection.
Well, that's exactly it. So what we've managed to create right now in the NFT space is a world where you got to spend money to get rid of images that someone has sent you in the spam. Now, individual, like OpenSea, they have the ability to hide said images and wallets, but that data is always there on the blockchain. Mm-hmm. What happens if that what is sent to you is not? What happens if what was sent to you was not just like some art to try and pump their own collection? What happens if it was something worse?
Like illegal material, basically.
Well, I'll give you an example. We had things like the fappening, right? All the celebrities, their nudes got hacked.
Sure.
What happens when some person publishes the fappening, and essentially right now you can publish that information onto their social media profile and it's like them nude and it's immutable. It's always on the blockchain and you can never get rid of it.
Quit talking to us about the negatives, Jeffrey. I want to hear about how to pump my bags.
Yeah, so that's an example. That is an example. So we've built these systems where essentially you have to pay money to
weird.
Burn the NFT or the NFT, which could be abuse material.
Yeah.
But even if you burn it, it's always going to be attached to your name.
Right, the record
wallet.
of it will always be there. Yeah, I guess somebody theoretically could send you a token with your address in the metadata, like your personal address.
Yes, you could craft a token to docs.
Oh my gosh,
it's permanently against your name.
That's terrible. And then everyone can see it.
It is. Everyone can see it. We will see tokens for doxing. So we've built this open world of utopian nirvana, and people are so focused on making money. Now I'm kind of getting into some ideas I have for future things to demonstrate points, but hopefully through this, we're also the sit down, we're educating people as well. That in the future, it's very possible we'll have tokens for doxing people, and it's permanently attached to your wallet address. And so the idea is, okay, I'll just burn my wallet. I'll get a new wallet. Yeah. It's easy to get a new wallet.
Yeah, right.
And then some person, you see the stuff that happens on YouTube and the drama. Mm-hmm. Like some person just like, oh, they got a new wallet. All right, let's dox them again. And there's no mitigations. There's no spam filters. There's no nothing. Anyone can write anything on the blockchain and send it to your wallet. It's an inbox, a spam inbox that anyone can write to with no mitigations right now.
I guess except that it costs them money.
If you can get your casino advertised on Kanye West's social media profile, is it worth the $100?
Definitely.
So cost isn't even a barrier.
So you're highlighting all these problems of a technology. Do you think that the innovations will scale? I mean, I think with all things, like usually technology tries to innovate to solve technology's problems that it's sort of created, and you sort of have all these knock-on second-order effects you didn't expect. Like you built a blockchain, oh great, oh, and then someone got doxed on your blockchain. Okay, well let's build some way to do that. Do you think that's viable, or are you like pessimistic about our ability to do that?
I don't know. What I do know is it's way too early for vulnerable people to be buying into an ecosystem where there is $1 billion of venture capital in. There's social media influencers creating hype and getting paid for it. And you've got communities who are incentivized to hype, right? And if someone isn't aware of these three factors in the ecosystem, they could confuse that for an ability to get rich. Now, as a result of the NFT Bay, I've actually had regulators from different governments contact me because they actually want to know about NFTs. They're finding it very hard to actually find someone who is not incentivized by NFTs, because everyone they speak to has either got a company or they've got NFTs they're trying to sell. Sure. So they can't even get a straight answer from a legislative point of view. Meanwhile, they're getting calls from people in their country saying, I invested all this money and I'm left holding the bag and I got scammed. Can you please do something?
Well, why are they going to you? You have all the NFTs. You're very heavily incentivized to, you got all of them to talk well about them. That's really interesting. Yeah, I imagine from a country standpoint, it's very hard to see. It does feel like people are divided. Either you have NFTs and you love NFTs and you're bullish, or you think it's all a scam. It's going nowhere. I mean, for me, I think 99% of what's going on is a scam. This is a little bit, it's not really brave to say. This is sort of a common opinion. I do think there will be some future uses for NFTs. I think the technology is pushing its way there, but I didn't know the data limitations, just how steep they were on fees. That really changes what I think maybe some of those innovations could be, because if it's going to be on-chain, if it's going to get the benefits of on-chain, it just costs so much money.
Exactly. That's actually the kind of the dirty secret of the Web3 movement, is how much exists on standard internet infrastructure. They claim everything's on-chain.
Right.
But the way to know if something's on-chain or not is really simple. When you click a button, did you get charged for clicking that button? It's that simple.
If any data changes hands, you had to pay for it. On Web3.
Exactly. So that's how you know. If you're using a product, say OpenSea, and you click a link, and you don't get charged for it, that means it's off-chain. It's that simple. So, and you'll know if you're paying, because I had to register an ENS domain a couple of weeks. So I'm bullish that something will be found.
Right.
But I think it's too early for the general
I think that's a good message.
Being pushed into this.
Right. It's where they don't even know. And like you said, even the experts are struggling to know where it's going. Why is the general population having this sort of shoved down their throats?
Why has this been mainlined into society when even the people who build the technology don't even know what we could do with the technology, and we're trying to still figure out the technology? And that's an underlying message really to the NFT community. They need to police their own community. They need to call out scammers in their community and obvious pumps and dumps, and actually work to make sure the name of NFT is not tarnished. Because if they don't, regulators will step in and regulate for them. And that's going to be a worse thing. And we may never actually find utility.
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes regulators step in and they misunderstand the technology and actually make the situation worse. Yeah, I think I largely agree with you here, Jeffrey. And I think your NFT Bay is a really interesting project. Whether or not the pictures are there or not, the NFTs are there. That's the crazy thing, is I'm really having a hard time parsing from my brain that you own the NFTs but not the pictures. I've just thought that the NFTs are the pictures and vice versa.
And that's one of the reasons that I've been laughing for a little bit. It was 2 weeks ago since the launch that one half is saying, thank you for backing up all the NFTs. We fully aware that the artwork is not backed up on chain. Thank you for backing it all up. And at the same time, they're also saying that the artwork has no value. It's the contract, the NFT, the contract that has value. Meanwhile, the other side is saying, oh, we're just going to right-click save the treasure, the NFT. And they're saying that it doesn't have value. So essentially the NFT Bay, it's upside down. It contains the actual NFTs, not the JPEGs.
It does make me wonder what happens when all this Web 2 infrastructure breaks down. Let's say you have a Google Drive link that has your image, right? And somebody forgets to keep paying Google for, their extra storage space or whatever. Your file gets deleted. Now what is your NFT worth?
It's happened. It happens all the time. People have dropped millions on these contracts that link to an image host, and that image host goes offline. Like, if it links to an internet domain name and that domain name doesn't get registered anymore, that means anyone in the world can go register that domain name and they can put any image in that person's art gallery.
Oh boy. Oh boy, that's going to go bad. I know that's going to happen. And when it does,
yes, it is.
That is going to be funny. So is it true that somebody screenshotted the NFT Bay website and sold it?
Yeah, it's true. It's actually hilarious. VVD, Vincent Van Dough, took a screenshot of the NFT Bay and then sold the hyperlink to the screenshot of the NFT Bay, made $18,000 for selling the treasure map to the treasure with the image. And then I took a screenshot of his auction result and I turned that into an NFT and called it the collector becomes the collected. And that is likely the only NFT that I'll ever create in its current incarnation and form. And well, if you're going to be talking about these things, you have to be authentic. How can you talk about it unless you have done it? So I created an NFT of the NFT Bay
that can hold all the NFTs. Very interesting. You're a very interesting man, Jeffrey. I will link the website. I hope you guys learned something. That was the whole intention. When me and Jeffrey got together, we said, look, we want this to be educational. I hope you guys learned something. Thanks for watching. And yeah, find out what you really own. Thanks. See ya. Let's talk about pump and dumps. Guys, you all know I'm a fan of the pump.
Always, guys, respect the pump.
But what I'm not a fan of is a pump and dump. This is a technique that has now become illegal in the stock market, but right now, because it's not regulated, is in this gray area with crypto. And a lot of people are promising easy gains, thousands of dollars, doubling your money, if only you join their pump and dump group.
All right, guys, welcome to the Ultimate Crypto Pumps. Today, I'm excited to share with you guys that in this video, you will learn how to pump and dump in Binance. Huge profit. I invested $8,000 and got $1,600 back. Join our pump and dump ultimate cryptocurrency and you will have the best experience ever.
So I, trying to figure out how it works, joined multiple of these Discord channels, promising me easy riches to figure out how this scheme sort of works. Now we're gonna go to the board and we're gonna talk about it, but let me say up front, TLDR, these are massive scams designed to bring you in, make you feel like you're part of the group. In reality, you're the sucker. That's the whole game, is that if you are just joining one of these groups thinking you're going to make a quick buck, you are the sucker. And frankly, I don't know, this is one of the few things that I don't feel too bad for you if you fall for this. If you're trying to get in on somebody, do a pump and dump and rip other people off, and you yourself get ripped off, it's not good, okay? I can't feel too bad for you, but this is a big warning to all of you who are seeing these big pump signal groups, big pump Telegram groups. They are fraudsters, they're con men, they're liars, tricking you out of your money. So if you have a friend or anybody who's thinking about getting involved in one of these are all the reasons you should not be, and the explanation of how the con game works. Let's go to the board, shall we? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the $10 million studio. I'm your host, Coffeezilla, and today we're talking about, you guys know, we're talking about the pump and dumps. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what it looks like. A lot of these are run on Discord or Telegram, two of the more popular, messaging services with groups. So this is Galactic Pumps is one of the ones that I joined. I also joined Voyager Pumps, Big Pumps, Signal, things like this. And let me walk you through how this works, okay? So there's multiple days where they run pump and dump, these pump and dump schemes, right? So for example, this is the 29th of April, pump and dump, dude. They're shameless, by the way. When law enforcement starts to get a hold of this, when regulation starts to get a hold of you guys better run. You better hope that you're anonymous, right? But right now, this is all being done right out in the open. 22nd of April, pump and dump. They're doing a pump and dump about every 3 to 5 days. And I quickly found that the multiple groups that I joined, a lot of them work together. So for example, Voyager Pumps will work with Galactic Pumps, and they'll pump the same coins. So what is going on? As you can see, they use this KuCoin 29th of April, and they pump the same exact coins. Now we're going to go over the basics before I explain exactly how this fraud works, because a lot of the people in this group don't realize that they are the suckers. First of all, a pump and dump is where you artificially raise the price of a stock or now a cryptocurrency
artificially. There's no reason it's raised other than you're investing a bunch of money, hoping that other people get in on it, and then you sell off to them. Now, typically this is done with like kind of less known, less popular coins or stocks. And this is because it's easier to move the price of something that is cheap, right? That is doesn't require a lot of volume to move a lot. So they pick a bunch of like random, stocks or coins you've never heard of before. So in the example of the 22nd of April pump, which I actually was witness to, here's how this works. Put up this bot, and they say it's a fair bot. How they pitch it to people is that we're all receiving a random coin from this bot, and nobody knows what it is before it gets released. Now, this is a lie, but we'll talk about it in a second. So they give you this coin. So this is what that chart looks like normally, right? You have a lot of kind of random price movement. But when you go to the time of the pump, this is what it looks like. It is a very clear pump and dump. Here at 1 o'clock is the pump, and then every little candlestick is another minute. And so it's a pump and dump for like 5 minutes, right? So the pump happens in minute 1, and then it sells off very quickly. Now that you know what a pump and dump is and what one looks like, though, why is it a con? Why is this a scam, right? For someone to win in a pump and dump, someone also has to lose, like, obviously, right? Like if somebody's going to make money, somebody on the other side has to be losing money. And here's how they get you, okay? Because they try to tell the people in the group that you're tricking people outside the group. They tell everybody, we're going to post to social media. We're going to fool them. See, here's one such message from this guy, Devin S. Owens. This guy's asking how many people in this group or in this Discord are left holding the bag. He goes, in this Discord? Very, very few. It's the outsiders that get shafted. Bots that scan the market and people waiting for trending coins. See, that's the idea. Is like, if we all pump this coin together, it'll go trending on one of these crypto exchanges and idiots will buy in. That's the idea. And then all the people in the group will make money. We're all in the know. We're scamming the world. And meanwhile, it's the outsiders that are getting tricked. And they even encourage people to go post in their social media about the coin and whatever and pump it so that they can dump their shares or their coins onto those people and make money. Now that is the lie, though, because the truth about these groups and all these things is that the sucker is not outsiders. It's actually the insiders. See, here's how the scheme really works. So you take this coin, right, that they pump and dumped on April 22nd. They said that, hey, we're going to get social media. We're going to get outsiders in on this coin. We're going to get outsiders to buy what you're buying, right? Like to buy off of you and then they're the ones that are going to get dumped on. But if you look at how long the pump lasted, it only lasted a few minutes long, like 5 minutes in total. Not enough to get a coin meaningfully on trending. So what's really going on is that if you look back at the volume history of this coin, is that you see something very interesting. You see a pattern of buy pressure over here, slow buys all the way up to the date of the eventual pump. Do you know who that is? Those are the insiders, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. There's an insider within an insider club in all of these pump and dumps. So there's an inside group who orchestrates this whole thing, who gathers people in, who monitor it, who censor comments, and they say, hey guys, we're going to all pump and dump together, but they know beforehand what the coin is. So they spend weeks buying up that coin slowly so no one really notices. And then the second that the buy signal gets put out, they put in a sell order and sell off to you at those insane new prices. So the people who think they're insiders are actually outsiders. And the only thing that is true about outsiders holding the bag is that you were the outsider all along. I don't know if any of that makes sense. But that's how these things work, guys. And when you go to the comment section of these things, people are going, oh, I lost money. I lost hundreds of dollars. I lost thousands of dollars. And they can't figure out why. They thought they've done something wrong. And people will tell them, oh, you were just too slow. But you weren't too slow. You're just not on the inside of the group. This group is conning you, which is ironic because you're trying to con other people and then you yourself are getting conned. There is a window if you're the fastest clicker in the West, though. No, it's not about being a fast clicker. It's about literally knowing beforehand what the coin's going to be. But I think what's most crazy about these groups is just how widespread and popular they are.
despite being such kind of obvious scams, once you've gotten burned once, I don't know how many people are aware of this, they have 450,000 members just in this one group. Or, sorry, 171,000 in this one group, Telegram group, but across all their little platforms or different Discord groups, they have 450,000, almost 500,000 people participating in these strange pump and dumps, which are so obviously built to just benefit like a few people in the know. And there are a bunch of Reddit threads on this about pump and dump schemes, but I just thought I'd make my own video because I think they can be really dangerous. These big pump signals, any kind of pump and dump scam, they always say that they have outsiders, but actually you're the outsider. And that's just what I wanted to come on here and say. Please don't get involved in these ridiculous schemes. They're built to prey on your sense of like FOMO, your sense of wanting to get in on those big gains. But the reality is you can't. It doesn't matter how fast your fingers are. It's about knowing beforehand what's going on. And if you think you're going to be a winner here, that's them preying on your psychology. I mean, literally, you have to know, you have to be in the inside circle to win. And at that point, you're just lying to people to make money again. I never knew that these pump and dump groups existed until I joined them. I didn't know how many people they had involved. And it's disgusting to me that nobody's regulated these things yet, but I think they will be regulated soon. And you better be careful, because if you're caught holding the bag, it's going to be a bad time. All right, that's basically it. See ya.
I know what you mean. This ain't what it seemed. Nothing but a trick, trying to sell me on a dream, but that was where you lost me. Wake up and smell the coffee.
Time for a story. Following Millionaire's Venue, as successful people do. Guys, I'm a success. So of course I could follow Millionaire's Venue. 30K followers, apparently. Welcome to the 1% Club, helping you become the best version of yourself. Yes, please. Dropped a cup. Daily life-changing quotes. Join us, become part of the family. So I'm scrolling through for meme material, like the Hulk saying that classic quote, "Don't forget the lifestyle you promised yourself." Yeah, remember when the Hulk said that, guys? So anyway, I come across this and I get pissed. It's a Wolf of Wall Street thing. It says it's all about building the skill, the art of selling, how to become the best salesman. Now, before I get very upset and start screaming incoherently, let me cut to the chase. They make an inspirational post from the Wolf of Wall Street. But this whole thing is like about how Jordan Belfort had to rise through the ranks. And this is going to be just like you, right? About building the skill, the art of selling. There's only one problem, though. This is a movie about a con man, and nobody seems to get it. I don't know. I don't know if this is ironic. I'm going to show you a lot of evidence that it's not, because I know you're thinking to yourself, this has to be a joke, right? They're showing a man who went to prison for what he did, a fraud, and they're like, it's all about building the skill, guys. This is an inspirational page, guys. It's Millionaire's Venue, okay? Top 1%. Why are you showing me a criminal and saying, oh yeah, this is the guy you should model your life after? Look at this.
What this trade will do is serve as a benchmark for future business, Captain. Do you feel comfortable with me now, Scott? And then you'll know.
This is like how low entrepreneur lifestyle stuff on Instagram has become. Real entrepreneurs don't talk about it, right? They're too busy working. The only people talking about entrepreneurs on Instagram are fake entrepreneurs. Let's just be honest.
All right, let's do 10.
10.
You want to do that?
Excellent choice. Kevin, let me lock in that trade right now and get back to you in a few minutes with an exact confirmation, Kevin. And welcome to Stratton Oakmont.
Thanks, man. I'm going to have a beer, right?
How inspirational, guys. Hashtag entrepreneur. Look at these hashtags. Hashtag business passion. Hashtag business growth. Hashtag business advice. How about hashtag went to jail? How about hashtag stock fraud? None of that, guys, of course. And that's the kind of irony about, a lot of these movies where they're like, oh yeah, it's a commentary on wealth. It's a commentary on sensationalizing, these things. Like, I feel like college kids they don't know what a satire is. Because when you look at the interview of Leonardo DiCaprio and Scorsese, look how they talk about it.
Addiction to wealth and power and greed during his time in Wall Street and all of that. Yeah, absolutely. This is a satire, and it's a dark comedy, a funny approach to this, but ultimately what we're talking about is a very serious subject matter, the cautionary tale of his time on Wall Street.
Yeah, guys, a cautionary tale. Now, let's go back to Instagram real quick, make sure
Everyone was in on the joke. I will win. It's so funny to me how like wannabe entrepreneurs idolize movies like this. And then they'll unironically quote like, coffee is for closers. Look at this. Let them hate. Just make sure they spell your name right. Oh, when you go to jail? Oh, that's right. Sorry about that. Celebrate little victories. They create the momentum that creates big wins. You can't make this stuff up. This cannot be satire. There's no way. I mean, this actually, if this is satire, then you're one level above my head, and that's what I get. I have to be successful because I love expensive shit. Boys, you gotta commit fraud. It's the only way to do it. Look, if you're gonna be successful, there's only one way to do it. Look, drop out of college, commit fraud. That's it. The only thing standing between you and your goal is the bullshit story you keep telling yourself as to why you can't achieve it. Actually, that's not true. The only thing standing between you and your goal is the bullshit story you need to tell to your clients to trick them into investing with you guys, right? Did nobody understand the movie? I don't even think that's what it is. I think people just watched half of it. Like if you watch the first half, I'm not gonna lie, looks pretty sweet.
I'm doing 500, I'm out of control.
You just forgot the last half. If you try and fail, congratulations. Most people don't even try. Hashtag inspirational, hashtag criminal, hashtag in jail. Let me tell you something. There's no nobility in poverty. Okay. It's not just one quote. It's like there's entire pages of this stuff. It's like a Wolf of Wall Street quote account. I don't know what to do with myself looking at this. You know, it's just seemed like there's just been this weird form of entrepreneurship that's just popped up lately where people almost want it as a badge of honor or something. They're like, I'm an entrepreneur. It's like getting a Starbucks, right? It's like it's almost like a status symbol. It's like, yeah, I have an iPhone, right? It's just like to put on your bio, I'm an entrepreneur. Guys, stay in school, okay? Listen, you're probably going to get a job. You're probably going to fail at entrepreneurship. And I know that hurts. But if you can't tell the difference between a con man and a legitimate businessman, there's a problem. I think this is the crime. Who puts these together and what are they doing? I mean, it's not monetized, right? So who's putting this out there into the world? Who's making these? Inspirational Jordan Belfort pled guilty to fraud and related crimes in connection with the stock market manipulation and running a boiler room as well as a penny stock scam. That's what I want on my hashtag gravestone. I want people making quotes about me. It's kind of dumb because I know it's just a movie, but dang, that set me off when I saw that post, you know? I don't understand Instagram. I guess that's my takeaway from this. I'm a boomer who doesn't get Instagram, and that's fine. Don't listen to me, guys. I'm just a salty boy, a little salty boy over here for no reason. Society you want to listen to? Me? Broke me? Or a real entrepreneur like Jordan Belfort, played by Leonardo DiCaprio? All right, that's basically it. Just be complaining. Thanks for watching. Hope you're doing well, and I'll see you in the next one.
I know what you mean. This ain't what it seemed. Nothing but a trick, trying to sell me on a dream, but that was where you lost me. Wake up and smell the coffee.
3 guys were arrested today because of a single tweet, which exposed them for insider trading. But before we interview the man responsible for all this chaos, let me just say, this might be the single and only positive use of Twitter ever. Here I thought it was a place for mentally ill people like myself to seek attention and validation, but apparently you can also get people arrested, which is pretty cool because the Department of Justice and FBI link a tweet in their indictment as if it was the thing that got the Scooby-Doo gang together. Now, as happy as I am that the Bluebird solved the case, I have to say it feels a bit strange that the FBI is monitoring Twitter to catch actual criminals, and it sort of begs the question, what's the real future of police work? I'm sure a lot of people join up thinking they're going to be raiding houses, but maybe the future is you're raiding Minecraft houses. Maybe you build your career by busting a metaverse mafia. I mean, I guess on the one hand, it's a good sign that they're paying attention to what's going on out there. On the other hand, it turns out when you look into this, that the insider trading going on was actually pretty well known about. And that's why I brought on the man responsible for all of this, Kobe. He's a podcaster, famous crypto guy, but most importantly, he's the Twitter tweeter who got these guys locked up. And I was hoping he could sort of get me to the bottom of this, help me figure out how he found out about it. But the first thing he told me was actually that he was a bit disappointed in how things were being handled and thought that maybe people were focusing on the wrong issue. How's it going? How are you? Your tweet got someone arrested. I mean, how does that feel?
Yeah, I mean, actually, I don't feel great about that because the person I was criticizing is not the person that got arrested. The person that got arrested, it seems like collateral damage. I was criticizing the institution that the person that got arrested worked for. And I know the person that got arrested was doing something very silly and criminal and illegal. But yeah, I guess that is what happened. They got arrested.
It seemed like from my conversation with him, Kobe was more upset at the institution Coinbase where this happened than at the front runner themselves. This is despite Coinbase's CEO coming out today saying that they were part of the reason that this guy got arrested, they cooperated with the feds, etc. But Kobe doesn't see it this way. Coinbase, at least for a long time, hasn't been the solution. They've been the problem.
Coinbase has had listings front-running issues for a while. Originally, they only listed like Bitcoin, and they had this policy that they were only going to list like the best of the best. And then as time passed and we got to like the last couple of years and meme stocks became a thing, and obviously they went public, they started losing market share. So they sort of changed their policy and started listing like real garbage. But at the same time, they started having a lot of issues around people buying the garbage they were listing beforehand.
So people were making money on Coinbase front running these trades for years. They would just find out whatever Coinbase was going to list, buy it up before it listed, and sell it immediately after. In fact, it turns out it was such a problem that Coinbase tried to address this issue at the time, but with no success.
Then they published this blog post about how they're going to change all their listing processes so that this stuff cannot happen in the future and they can get better controls around it. And then at the very next listing, every single coin got front run once again. And I'm in a little group of like crypto people who like look at interesting blockchain stuff, and someone like sent this Etherscan link and said, hey, has anyone looked into this? I think these things are going to get listed on Coinbase because they all got bought again by a person who front run successfully last time. Has anyone looked into, does anyone know what any of these are? Some of them seem like really garbage. I think one of them was called The Food or something. I looked at that link. I waited for the coins to get added. About 80% of the ones that were bought on this day were added. So then I tweeted the screenshot of everything he'd purchased and the blog post like a few weeks ago saying we're tightening up our controls, just to say like Coinbase is clearly incompetent at these issues. They're unable to stop it. No, they've just done this whole song and dance about how much they're going to improve the ecosystem and how much they care about like getting these things right. And the very next coin listing has been front run.
Wow. This whole case contradicts Coinbase, who claims that they were actively monitoring for illegal activity. But honestly, from the looks of it, it looks like the only thing they were monitoring was Twitter, because ultimately they didn't launch this investigation until after someone had proved it on the blockchain. And it's probably time we talk about this investigation and the main guy arrested in this case. His name was Ashan Wahi, and he was an employee at Coinbase who was on the team responsible for listing the new crypto tokens on the exchange. He insider traded by buying the coins he knew they would be listing in a bit, and then after the price pumped, he'd profit by selling them, which is obviously illegal and market manipulation. And the only reason that there are 3 guys listed in this indictment and 3 guys who got arrested is because the employee decided that he wanted his brother and friend in on the scam. He wanted to share the wealth and share a jail cell, I guess. In total, they allegedly made $1.5 million, which honestly are rookie numbers. Let's be real, guys. You got to pump those up. I mean, they're going to go to jail and guys are absolutely going to be laughing at them. Like, you went to jail for $1.5 million in fraud. Like, do you need a baby bottle to go with your itsy bitsy fraud? This is sort of why I find myself thinking that Kobe's sort of right here, that maybe the most interesting part of this case is not the actual criminals, but the system that allowed this to even happen.
I don't think a guy stealing $1.5 million over the course of 18 months is even the interesting part of the story. The interesting part of the story is for 18 months, an institution had this guy in charge of like coin listing stuff, was unable to identify that he was just like stealing from people by front running. And then anonymous users on like the internet can find out about it, or I can tweet about it. And then all of a sudden there's an investigation into it. I just don't understand what processes they have in place for that to be how that works.
Now, to that very important question, what processes are in place? I think Kobe's forgetting about the most important process of all that clearly they have abided by, which is one that's even trusted by the FBI, you check Twitter. Although I don't want to just dunk on the feds and Coinbase here, because it does seem like they did a pretty good job investigating and arresting the guy after they found out what was happening. I'm talking about the main guy, Wahi, because according to the indictment, Coinbase was supposed to interrogate him when he suddenly decided to flee the country. He told them that he had a medical emergency involving his father. Wahi then purchased an airline ticket due to board only 11 hours later to flee to India, and somehow they caught him. I mean, despite almost no warning beforehand, they arrested him before he left the country. So bravo to that. That's pretty awesome that they were able to do that. But I also hope we're not learning the wrong lessons here, where we just punish a few guys for crimes that have been going on for years only after someone tweets about it. I mean, what's next? Are we going to make some TikTok deputies, some Instagram enforcers? I guess I get the irony that I'm the internet detective here saying that, but I do ultimately think there probably should be a division between influencers and law enforcement. I don't think those worlds should collide very often, but every now and then it does.
Guru A would sell a $2,000 product, and then affiliates for that would sell they would sell that person's product, and then sell a product that they previously sold for $2,000. They'll throw it in as a bonus for free if you buy through my affiliate link from Guru A. I was seeing my sales letter, a lot of the stuff that I wrote for clients, a lot of it was original stuff being copied verbatim on other products for the completely different, information products. That's when I started to realize, okay, this is not good. And then basically,
ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Coffeezilla. Today we have a very special guest. We have Michael Fortin. Michael, you are a legend in the copywriting community. You're sort of a historian of the copywriting world. You know so much. And your arc is a very interesting one because you've achieved wild successes in the copywriting community. And at the same time, your views on this space have evolved. Michael, give me an introduction to how you got started in this industry and sort of some of the highlights of your career.
Sure. So at the very beginning of my career, I was in sales, and I had a tremendous fear of rejection. So I wanted to find a way to get prospects to come to me rather than me to them. And what I decided to do was, rather than knocking on doors, I was in the insurance business back then. Rather than knocking on doors and getting doors slammed in my face, I decided to write sales letters and then send it to people and get people calling me to set up an appointment. And lo and behold, that's when I discovered this thing called copywriting. Fast forward a little bit. So I started working for cosmetic surgeons, and I started to write copy for infomercials, late night infomercials for hair transplant doctors. I created the full display ads, sales letters as well, and newsletters and whatnot. And that kind of evolved to the other professional services, to other doctors, lawyers, chiropractors, and so on. And then it finally reached the internet marketing community, and then I became pretty much well known in the internet marketing community from that point on. So,
you ran a board as well.
Yes.
In addition to, it was pretty popular, like copywriter board. What was it called again?
Yeah, copywriters board. So essentially what I wanted to do was I wanted to get more business. And at that time, what I decided to do was I created a board for two reasons. One of the reasons was I would do critiques, free critiques I would just take a website from a client or somebody I really want to have as a client. And then I would do a copywriting critique, and then I would post it on my board, and with the hope that the client would see it, but if not, some other clients or some people would see it and say, oh, this guy knows what he's doing. And so they would hire me, and I would basically get more business from that point on. And then basically that board kind of exploded. I had other copywriters joining, doing the same thing, everybody kind of sharing knowledge, sharing critiques, critiquing other people's work. And then it had quite a big following. We had several thousands of tens of thousands of members. And then after one point where I just like the egos and the whole, the things that you talk about often kind of grew out of whack. So I decided just to close everything down.
I want to explore that moment when, it's kind of, you say so casually because it's in the past, but you shut down a board with, tens of thousands of active members, which is pretty wild. So at that point, some disillusionment had happened. But what was that for you? Because, I'm always on here and I'm just passionately saying what I think copywriting is or isn't or whatever, whether it's predatory, whether it's not. It's easy for people to kind of dismiss me. I'm a hater, right? I just don't like when people make money. I don't like that people are just balling out of control. And I hate capitalism. I hate puppies and I hate bald eagles, probably. I mean, they don't know, but probably. But you're someone who's a little harder to dismiss because you're really a legend in the space. We talked about this, but you were the first person, we talked about this off the record, but you were the first person to break $1 million sales day in copywriting. Is that right? Mm-hmm. You're the first person, the Roger Bannister of copywriting.
Yes, it's a neat label. I was given that by some other marketer, and it just stuck with me. It's like, oh, that's great. That's like that. Because here's the thing: when I wrote that sales letter, it was a long sales letter for a course.
What was it called?
Pardon me?
What was it called? The course?
Oh, it was Traffic Secrets, which is actually now owned by Russell Bronson, but it used to be from John Reese at that time in 2004. 2004. And basically it became the very first $1 million day in the internet marketing space. And of course, that record has been broken many, many times, multiple times, of many magnitudes more since. But basically I was the first copywriter to do that. And that kind of made me become known in this industry because of that $1 million day.
Right. And so my point with bringing that up is not to just blow smoke at you, but it's also to say that you're someone who's been in the space, well-respected, and you're now writing about how this industry is really predatory. What changed in your life that you're went from, it's probably pretty hard to say that something that, was pulling in $1 million a day it's hard to speak out against that. You know what I mean? There's a lot of cognitive dissonance there of oh, here's something making me a ton of money, but I also think it's bad. I see a lot of people really struggle with that and fight against it and oh, they just put their head in the sand. They don't want to see what this industry is doing to people. But you speak openly about it, about, you knowing about people who have literally mortgaged their house to buy courses. Is that right?
Yes.
What was that change for you? How did that happen?
Well, it's not an overnight process. It was a gradual process over a period of time. Because here's the thing: whenever I was working as a copywriter, I was hired as a copywriter for a lot of these internet marketers, and sometimes I would be asked to write copy for projects that I really wasn't happy about. I didn't feel good about. So I started refusing clients. I started to refund clients. I'd start to not take on any more clients. That was one part of it. Then the second part of it was.
Do you remember what those clients were selling? Give us an example.
It's hard to. I don't want to mention any names, but basically, it's like selling a course on how to make money, which is basically how to make your own course on how to make money on how to sell another course on how to make money. So it's basically a Ponzi scheme. Yeah. And so you're literally selling an internet marketing course, teaching other people about internet marketing, which is about how do they create their own internet marketing course, ad infinitum. And that's kind of what it just left me a bad taste in my mouth. And I think your interview with Jim Clare was just absolutely phenomenal. It was beautiful because he said a lot of the things that I spoke about that was on my mind as well. And I think that, like I said, it was an evolution. And throughout that entire process, when I was writing copy for a lot of these sales letters, I was seeing my sales letter, a lot of the stuff that I wrote for clients, a lot of it was original stuff being copied verbatim on other products for the completely different, information products. That's when I started to realize, okay, this is not good. And then basically what I did was I wrote there was a kind of a trend going on in 2004, 2005, 2006 called there was a lot of reports coming out, the death of affiliate marketing, the death of pay-per-click advertising, the death of this and that, the death of that. And I came out with one. Yeah, it was clickbaity. I admit that, but it's called the death of the sales letter. And the reason why is because I really believe that these long sales letters, especially to kind of just to get the sale, Well, either I thought it was dying. I believed it was, and I actually do believe it still is in the process of dying, because there's a lot of sales letters out there still, but we are now more into a funnel where people are being educated through the process until they finally buy a product or service. Anyways, the point though is, at that time I saw that, but I also was disillusioned by the fact that a lot of the sales letters that I seen were just copies of what I was writing, right? So and that led to a few other situations where, for example, my wife at that time had cancer, and she was dealing with chemotherapy and all that stuff. And we came across a lot of stuff in that space that just made us cringe. People who actually literally told my wife to get off of chemo. I'm basically killing my wife with chemo and all that. Yeah. And so she wrote actually a report called Internet Marketing Sins. And we were talking a lot about, or she was talking a lot about some of the stuff that she saw that was just not, kosher, not necessarily the best or the most ethical practices in our industry. And I think that there's a lot of things that contributed to that, but at the same time, my views kind of merged where I said, you know what, this is just not the way, the things. I don't think that that's really proper way to do business on the internet. And I think that you see a lot of now internet marketers who have kind of evolved to become more service oriented or more SaaS-oriented SaaS software. So they kind of clean up their acts a lot. I think that's a good thing. And I, myself included, I mean, I sell services now, I do SEO and all that. But at the same time, I'm seeing like, for example, when I watched some of your videos, Stephen, the ads that come up.
Oh yeah. They prove my point.
Oh my gosh. And I think that kind of industry is, it's sickening. And the reason I think it's sickening is because when I hear the stories of people falling for kind of these products and services, products generally, that are promising them, the world, it's, fine. If you have a really good product that's valuable and it's actually teaching skills, for example, how to create an actual business, how to do market research, and how to, hire staff, how to manage staff, how to grow your business that way, the accounting, the financing side of stuff, right? Fine. But when you're starting to, show, here's how to make $1 million, and here's my Lamborghinis in the background, and here's my jet plane. So now you're no longer selling skills. You're no longer selling information. You're selling dreams and hopes. And you're preying on people who are broke and sick, and this is just crazy.
Well, here's the sad part. I mean, I think this, but some of the things that are the most disgusting, or they promise, we'll cure your cancer, we'll cure your, financial cancer, whatever, like we'll make you $1 million. Those are the things that sell the best, unfortunately. It's a lot of times the bigger claims, as long as you give some pseudo proof, right? You give some pseudo testimonials or whatever, people buy into it. That's what gets people to, have the ad spend to spend like they do. It's no small wonder that most of the things that you see in that space right now are kind of, over the top. Lambos, make $1 million, cure your cancer, whatever. It is really disgusting, but it sounds like, by the way, I'm sorry to hear about your wife. It sounds like your wife's, cancer diagnosis was a huge part of that.
Yes.
For you to connect what you were selling with the people at the other end of that sales letter.
Yeah. So my wife went through, first of all, at that time in her life, in our lives, my mom passed away of cancer. And we took care of her before she did. We actually set up a hospice in our house. And we kind of took a backseat from the business because at that time, health was more important. And as that was going on, it was incredibly, it was a way for me to kind of realize that this is not, this is not a business that I want to be in. This is not really something that I feel comfortable with. Admittedly, I have written sales letters for a lot of these products, and I think that we need to have people like you to shine a light on this industry, not for the purpose of teaching the people who are doing this stuff, but for the people who are buying this stuff. Sadly, because I think that the people need to be educated on the scams that are out there. And that's one of the reasons why I don't mention any names. I think you were interviewed on a Jordan Harbinger show, and Jordan said something that was perfectly well said. He said, we want to focus on the behaviors, on the scams rather than the scammers, because we want people to be able to realize or to recognize these without, putting specific spotlights on people, for one reason. And another reason is, well, first of all, if I mention scammer A, that means this guru who's really scammer B is, he's fine then, because you mentioned scammer A, then he should be okay. And that was one of the reasons why I didn't mention any names. And Sylvie, when my late wife, when she wrote Internet Marketing Sins, a report back then, she said the same thing. I'm not going to mention any names because I really want to focus on the behaviors and the scams rather than the scammers.
Yeah, I think Jordan Harbinger was really wise when he said that, and I think your wife's really wise for doing that. I do agree that it is a pattern of behavior. I mean, you do see the same thing repeated over and over again. As you said, these people aren't exactly innovating. There is just this sort of repetitive thing that just keeps going on, and it's this endless cycle of just like perpetual pitch fests. I think that was a word you used in one of your articles. You were a part of those pitch fests for some time. Take me behind the scenes of what that is like. So many people don't know because now a lot of it's done online, but the seminar game was huge. The seminar game was where it was all at. It still actually happens, at like Tony Robbins events, the 10X event, right? That's the Grant Cardone version.
Right.
What is the pitch fest? Who goes? And what's the big deal? What's the big deal with selling a few $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 courses? Why is that a bad thing? What did you see?
If I were to go to a seminar where I'm actually walking away with real skills that I can take home, create a business with, and or sell a product or service, and of course, not selling a product on how to make money, but basically a legitimate skill that I can learn from a seminar, then the seminar is valuable. But when you go to a seminar where you've got speaker after speaker after speaker after speaker selling their $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 course one after the other, and you're seeing people literally maxing out their credit cards in the back of the room. I've heard stories of people remortgaging their houses for these courses. And declaring bankruptcy, and it's sad because I think what's going on is there's a mentality of people who are going to these seminars. It's kind of this, I'm not a psychologist by any stretch of the imagination, but I know that there is kind of a mentality that people, I think Mike Winnett, who when he speaks on the Entrepreneur, he talks about these seminars where when you're around a lot of people and you're basically, everybody's waving their hands, you feel like you're left out. And I think that mentality kind of pervades a lot. And sadly, that's kind of the thing that really stuck to me. It's like, I can't believe that people would go to that extreme, number one. And number two, when I hear stories of what goes on behind the scenes, like for example, you've got a lot of seminars who are pretty legitimate. I've spoken at a few of them, but I also spoken at some of these pitch fests, which is unfortunate. But some of these seminars are really focused on trying to maximize as much as you possibly can from the seminar attendees. And I think you mentioned this in one of your videos where you said, it's like extracting every possible penny from those seminar attendees. And sadly, that's what kind of these seminar companies do. And I've heard of stories of seminar companies hiring telemarketers who would go after either the attendees prior or after the seminar, and the whole boiler room telemarketer type of process where basically the question is how much money do you have left on your credit card, and basically that's the price of our product, or this is the price of our coaching program, of our whatever the case is, right? Sadly, yeah.
No, this was one of the accusations, I think, in the FTC complaint letter against the Nudge defendants, they were a big seminar firm that I believe that Dean Graziosi used. A lot of these people used. I think Robert Herjavec was involved in one of these seminar companies for real estate. They would ask on the phone, though, that was like one of the things. How much money do you have? Oh, wow. Look at that. That actually just happens to be the price of the course. But I do think I want to address that mentality you talked about. I think that's really important. The mentality of the sucker, the fleeced, the person who's getting kind of like the wool pulled over their eyes. Because in a way, I think, okay, that is something that needs to be addressed, like people's need to be led or whatever. There's another side of this too, which is cultivated though by the pitchman, by the scammer, I would say, or by the guru. And that's this. That mentality is this. You need a mentor. See, you need someone to walk you A to Z for how to be successful. Otherwise, you'll never be successful. It's implicit in all of their stories. Their story is, I was a loser. Then I found Guru X or whatever, or system. I found out the one trick. And then I'm going to save you all that time because I'll be that person for you. You saw this really reemerge, I guess. It had always been there. But with Ty Lopez, he was the mentor guy. You need a mentor. He was like the one to do it the biggest on YouTube a few years back. And now everyone does it. But don't you think that that is a part of the system, right? To reinforce these belief systems that makes you need to buy. Because of course, if I need a mentor, well, man, where's the mentor? Oh, he's right up on stage willing to sell to me, right?
It's kind of funny that you mentioned that because not only are people, first of all, 99.99% of everything that you need to know to do very well is available online right now. There's a tool called Google. There's a tool called YouTube. And there might be some insider information. There might be some things that people have done, tried, and that is not very well known, the insider information. And I agree, that's perfectly fine. But it's when people are being told when they fail, well, it's not the information's fault. It's your fault. It's you either didn't try harder, or maybe you didn't try this other product. Maybe you should buy my other product. Oh, so that you failed with that too? Well, let me sell you this other product that will get you to, So basically, you're basically a mentor to make me buy more products. You're really basically a salesperson. That's what you really are, not a mentor. To me, a mentor, first of all, for example, what I do now, I sell advisory services and I advise corporations or professional services firms on their marketing, from SEO to copywriting to website development and all that stuff. But they're paying me a fee to do that, rather than me selling them the dream that they're going to make a lot of money, or they're going to become, a public company in 2021 or whatever. But then again, see, that's the thing that a lot of these gurus or these mentors do, is that they say you need a mentor. I think that there's a valid reason behind having somebody to help you, but it's the price point that it's attached to that, and the whole mentality behind that just drives me nuts. I'm part of a couple of groups. They're mentorship groups that cost me $10 a month. They're basically a group of people that we just, shoot the breeze, and we share ideas, and we share kind of this insider information, but it's just a group of, it's like an association. It's no different than an association. There's no secret cabal of this, all these people that
successful.
Know. I mean, come on,
room.
Really?
Yeah. We talked about that. The $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month. These really high price, the millionaire circle, the $1 million circle, the Dragon 100, the advisory boards. Yeah.
How many people from those boards, so let me back up. How many people who have joined those have truly become successful? So you'll have, for example, a lot of these guys who are using their
you haven't heard
letters.
The famous story of Elon Musk joining the Dragon 100? You didn't hear about that?
So you've got a lot of these guys who have sales letters with case studies, but a lot of these case studies are either for other products that they've created, or for something completely different. And sometimes it's about the actual product they're selling. They're not, I'm going to teach you this system on how to become successful. I'm getting fired up here. I'm going to tell you this product on how to become successful, and I'm going to take the testimonial and I'm going to use that to tell you how to, it's a Ponzi scheme, selling a Ponzi scheme. Anyways, I'm backing up. But the point though is, and it's something that you've mentioned in one of your videos, you talk about, like, for example, Amazon, where 8% make as much money as a fry cook, right? And so that's the exact point, is that if you're going to sell this $1,000, $10,000 course, how many of those people actually make enough money many times over to justify that investment, that expense?
Correct.
Oh, but it's an investment in yourself. It's an investment into your success.
Oh, yeah. The best investment is an investment in yourself. How much are you worth, right? That's the common refrain.
And that's the thing that I hate. I think what I personally hate about this industry is the whole concept of this neurolinguistic programming, how you can use psychological tactics to hypnotize your audience and to, because we tell, like, for example, here's the thing. Jim Clare talked about stories. You can tell, stories do sell. Telling a story, but telling a real story is, trying to put something in its best possible light. That's great. But when you start to make up fake stories with fake names, with fake backgrounds of this, and that's why I really loved your interview with Jim, is that that's where it gets really vomit inducing. And people who follow that, and then when they find out that those stories are not necessarily, but what he taught me was true. It's the truth behind the system.
Yeah, that's such a lie. Yeah, no, people, I've heard people try to defend that, and it's indefensible. When you write a story, and I think also one rule to think about your story, it's like, if your customer knew what you knew about your own story, would they still buy the product? And most of the time with all these fake stories, the answer is, of course not. A great example is, this was big a few years ago. They were selling this keto supplement, and they respun it into a lot of different supplements, where it was a fake story about how Shark Tank made its biggest investment ever into this pill, right? It's a total lie. This guy from MIT found this magical pill. The sharks were so excited, whatever. And they have a picture of a guy getting, like, smiling at the sharks. He's a beard set, like, he does beard oil. They just, like, completely took the picture, lied about it, whatever. This was sold all across Facebook, Yahoo, whatever. And it did super well. And so people are swiping the files. Look how well it's converted. I want to swipe it, if you guys know what swipes are. Probably most of my audience does. Swipe files. I'm just going to swipe this and turn it into a diabetes thing. I'm going to turn this into a blood sugar medication. By the way, all those offers now are still online. And it is so vomit-inducing when you find out the truth, that these are basically just being used to peddle snake oil. And this whole story, these authorities are being used to just launder these shady pills. So I think what you said is really true. It's like, that's when it gets disgusting. But going back to NLPs, what were you going to say about NLP? Because fake stories and NLP are a bit different. One is like, oh, I'm going to hypnotize you into basically you must buy the product.
Yeah, there's in the copywriting circles, especially when I had my board, a lot of the people who were copywriters who were part of the board at that time a lot of them were into NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, which, Tony Robbins teaches and all that.
Big Tony Robbins thing.
But it's this whole secret thing, this whole, the flaw of attraction, which is what I call it. But anyways,
the flaw of attraction. I love that.
But I think that the whole concept of using NLP is it's an umbrella term used that a lot of these guys, especially in the make money business, the how to be healthy and live a long time business, and the pickup artist industry. It's something that is pervasive in all those three. How I can use NLP to get a woman to come to bed with me or whatever. But they use that in copy, and I think so. I do a lot of I follow a lot of copywriters online as well, and I think the best line that I've ever heard was from Nick Osborne, and he has this whole system called conversational copywriting. And he said something on the board one time, and it caused a lot of controversy. A lot of egos were flared up. He said, "Great products don't need copy because they should be able to sell themselves." The copy is basically a channel. It's a facilitation device. Here's where, here's the information about the product. Here's the button to buy, and that's it. You don't have to use NLP. You don't have to use all of these, there's stories are good, but you don't have to use all of this psychological ninja tactics to get people to buy, because if you really have to, that's kind of telling. It's like,
right. If you have to deceive someone into buying, isn't that saying all that needs to be said about what your product is actually good for or doing?
Yeah. And so I want to come back to, we're talking about my origins and all that. So one of the things that happened in at the time that I wrote John Reese's Traffic Secrets was a lot of this circle jerking type of these product launches, where a lot of marketers were launching their $2,000 or $3,000 products, and they were promoting and they were all affiliates of other products. And so here's the thing: is that so Guru A would sell a $2,000 product, and then affiliates for that would sell they would sell that person's product, and then sell a product that they previously sold for $2,000. They'll throw it in as a bonus for free if you buy through my affiliate link from Guru A. So Guru B would sell Guru A's product, and then sell throw in their product that they used to. People are like. And then people are still, they fell for this. And it was sickening to me, because I realized, like, you just paid $2,000 for the same product from that guru. So it became all of this product launch circle jerking, right? I think it was my friend Paul Myers who said the internet marketing industry is a bunch of incestuous cannibals, which is actually very true.
They're all pushing each other's products. They're all, oh, this guy's great. Oh, you should take blah, blah, blah's product. The reason for that, by the way, is that there's a small number of people who are going to buy internet marketing courses, but those people are usually high value. And there's almost, I don't know if you've heard of this, like in gambling, there's like the people who are addicted, they're called whales. And there's this whole thing in gambling that's kind of a controversy, which is depending on who does the study. I did a little research thing on gambling. Depending on who does the study, if it's industry funded, they say, oh yeah, our whales only make up a tiny minority of our actual profits. Whereas other people are saying, no, who aren't industry funded, say, well, actually, like 20 to 30% of your profits are actually just extracting money from this very tiny minority of gamblers. I feel like that's really true of the self-help space and the space of like either health scams or wealth scams, where a tiny minority of people are literally addicted to buying these things.
Sadly.
Do you agree with that?
I do. Yeah. Sadly, unfortunately. But also at the same time, here's the thing. A lot of the seminars that I used to either speak at or I was a guest at, a lot of times, previous speakers or people in the industry, because I was a well-known copywriter, I was invited as a guest to a lot of these seminars. You would see a lot of the same faces. Every seminar would be the same people. And I'm thinking to myself, so how well are you doing now? Oh, we tried this thing, and we're going to find the next thing, the next big thing. So they're addicted to, it's kind of like a dopamine rush. It's to the next best thing that's going to make me a lot of money. And I think one time you had somebody in your show that talked about a Ponzi scheme, and he got taken in, and then basically now he's on to the next one. But this one is legit though.
He had 4. Yeah, for everyone who's wondering, I think 5 maybe. He had done like Ponzi scheme after Ponzi scheme. I hung up the phone with him. I thought we were done because he shared with me 2. And then as we're leaving the call, he goes, oh yeah, I have like 3 others I'm interested in. And I had to restart the call to re-interview because I was like, oh, this is the most insane thing I've ever heard. You're literally addicted to just diving into these new scams, and you don't see how the previous scam got you. But then there are people who are, obviously feeding, because that's still a problem, but there are people feeding into that by then taking their hot list, right? The people who just bought their get rich course, and then shipping them to the next guy who's going to sell them another get rich course. Isn't that hilarious?
But that's the whole point, because look, the fact that you're not successful yet, or maybe you're not happy with the level of success. Oh, you made $100 last month. Okay, let me show you this other course, this other product. And it's just the same thing over and over again. And I find it sad. And I think that in 2008, when the recession hit, and people were probably at their most vulnerable, at their brokest. And a lot of this came out, and it was even, that's really when I started to pull completely back, because look, you're taking advantage. We've had our call off record, right? We talked about the fact that a lot of these guys take advantage of the broke, the ill, and the old.
Desperate.
There's a fourth one, I would say the horny, because the pickup artist industry is big, but that's not, I don't think that hormones is vulnerability, but I think that being old, being broke, or being sick are vulnerable things. And sadly, these guys prey on those people. And, I look at a lot of these long copy. I think I had an argument with somebody on Twitter, I think, where this person said, "Oh yeah, it's all traffic and leads and lead nurturing and getting people to become educated in the product before they actually buy the product. That's no longer a thing. Those are vanity metrics. We're now all about the sale." And I'm thinking that's the direct marketing mentality, where we have to go for the sales of the long copy. And what do you have to do in order to get to the sale? Now, you yourself, you said you were in sales when you first started out, and it was all about pushing numbers. Well, it's the same thing with this direct marketing. It's all about getting the sale. Who cares about what you're doing, what you're pitching? Even if you're lying, it's all about making that sale. And at the end of the game, once they get they buy the product, they're all ready to go. And then you've got, in the back end, a really poor customer service. You've got people who are, asking for a refund. And a lot of these guys don't give out refunds, or they're saying, "Oh, it's your fault. You're the one, you didn't apply it yet." And there's a lot of these gurus out there who teach techniques on how to avoid giving refunds, or how to be, completely legal, but just enough not to be,
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. There are people called the chargeback gurus, and all they do is teach people how to get less chargebacks, not by selling a better product, but by circumventing the banks, by making sure you dispute every single chargeback, right? Because there's never a legitimate reason. Why would?
Well, it's the same thing as at that time. Something that became really popular was this process called forced continuity. And a forced continuity was people would sell product A, and that would be the whole focus of product A, and then the whole sales letter would be about product A. But at the end, when you have to buy, well, to get product A, you have to buy product B, which is a continuity program,
a subscription.
And so it's there's Columbia House did that, right? It's kind of the I think there was a name for it. It's called negative option billing, and it was a popular method. Like 10 CDs for 1 penny, whatever. But the point though is, a lot of these guys would say, well, two things. They would say, they would either hide the continuity, so you would buy the product not knowing that you just signed up to a subscription, and then trying to cancel your subscription after, it would be like jumping through fiery hoops that are this small. But the other one is, they say, well, let me make the charge under $30, because when it's $27 or less, it's under there was one guru who said the wife's radar. So
Wow, under the wife's radar rule.
Because the fact that it's an amount that small every month will not be as noticeable.
So they literally have no consideration for anyone even using these products. It's like, how much money can we extract? It's really about extraction from this person before he even notices, basically. That's essentially what that person's saying.
Yeah.
Before they notice, how many months can we get away with billing their credit card? That's so disgusting. And these people, again, I hate to sound like a broken record here, but as you said, they're vulnerable, sick, broke, and old. These people are not ones with typically with tons of money in the bank that they can just afford to spend. You're not ripping off Jeff Bezos. You know what I mean? Maybe we'd have a little less sympathy. Typically, you're ripping off people who are, if they're asking those questions, they're in a bad space. They're in a bad, if they find their way to your scammy newsletter, chances are they've exhausted their other options. They're really kind of looking for last ditch means. And that's where it gets gross to me, is I think, well, not only have you decided to rent seek and just extract money, but you've done it to the most vulnerable people in our society. And ironically, that's the way they get away with it, because if they were taking on rich people, they'd probably get sued. Mm-hmm. But you aren't going to get sued by a poor person.
Right, right. I think the concept of when people are told to go to marketing, say, well, what should I sell? Because a lot of people who are going into this business, they don't even know what to sell. So rather than saying, well, package information together that is usable, that is viable, that actually will help people, that will truly help people. And I mean, helping in different aspects. No, it's all about money. It's all about, well, you're going after a market that sell money-making schemes to people who are desperate for making money because the people are going to buy the product the most, and sadly, it becomes this perpetual cycle that just never stops. And I find it sad. I come back to my point is that a product that is very good should be able to sell itself. And a lot of the information, a lot of these packages that are truly, if they're truly innovative, if they're really, here's the thing. A lot of people would put products together of information that they've already found, or that's already available on the internet. And they'll say, well, here's the thing, that you're buying products, you're buying information from me that I actually did all the research for you. I put it all together and I've lined it up in a step-by-step process to make it simpler and easier for you. Great. So how much is the product? $35, $40? No, it's $2,000. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So the thing is, if the information, so you're paying for, yes, you're not buying information, you're buying for
organization,
research, whatever the case is. But it's no different than buying, because how many books are there on Amazon, on Audible, whatever the case is, of information that is truly great information, but you're buying it from a book that's only like $30. Oh. Why do I have to pay $3,000 from Guru A or B or C?
Well, the funny thing is, and this is the whole irony behind a lot of this, is that a lot of those seminars are directly ripped off of books that are $10 at your local library, $3 at half price books. So you could literally get the same information that you're getting from Dan Locke or whoever for $3. That the only difference is the packaging. Dan Locke's not going to be there in his suit. You're not going to get an ad about it. And you're not going to get a Bentley, a little virtual tour of his Bentley. That's the only difference between his thing and some book. A lot of this stuff, as you said, is recycled. And that's not even to name names. I mean, you could say that about really any of these gurus. It's a recycle of recycle of recycle. I think when we talked, you go, oh yeah, haven't you read, my knowledge of get rich quick schemes goes back a little bit, but not as far as yours does. You were like, have you heard of The Lazy Man's Way to Get Rich by Joe Carbo? And I said, no, what's that about? And you're like, oh yeah, he was basically doing the how to get rich, selling how to get rich before it was ever a thing. Before the internet, before anything. So This is all recycled. Talk a little bit about that. And then I want to talk about your message to copywriters, but talk about Joe Carbo's book real quick.
Sure. Well, so, Joe Carbo, the whole concept of the direct mail business that started, way back. And there are people who have, this is being done for a long, long time. You've got some of the original copywriters who started this entire business, the Claude Hopkins, the John E. Kennedys, all these guys from the turn of the century and became very well-known advertisers and advertising agencies. But that kind of spilled into what we saw in the 50s and 60s and even 70s, a blend of two things. One, it was a direct mail, the mail order concept. We hear about chain letters. Well, chain letters is kind of the more low level. But if I show you how do you start a business, how do you create a business? I send you an actual sales letter in the direct in postal mail and print mail, and it teaches you how to. I'll sell you a system on how to create a business and basically it's the same thing that you're doing. It's really just a Ponzi scheme in disguise. You might teach some new stuff. Maybe there's some value in it, but it's basically just a Ponzi scheme. Well, direct mail. Then, when the internet started, it was easy to just take that print letter and then slap it onto a web page. And then it became this long sales letter, which was why direct mail was so inviting for these guys on the internet to basically to do that. And that's why I wrote the Death of the Sales Letter, this white paper, this manifesto in 2004, because I was saying, it's too easy. Now we have an extra element in all of this, which is the mouse. We are able to actually we're able to actually get educated on this. I read a sales letter, I'm able to go to other websites and see to get more information about it, to get myself educated about it. Maybe there's also a process where you can teach me about your system, maybe do a drip campaign, maybe tell me a little bit more about what you're doing, rather than selling me the dream and the hopes and the all the money and the flashy stuff. So that was one thing. So, and that also kind of merged with the whole internet marketing seminar industry, because back in the 70s, it was the BizOp industry, selling BizOps from the stages. You've got a lot of these marketers who are selling business in a box.
They're still doing that, by the way, but yeah.
Yeah, they're selling these, and a lot of these seminars that did that, whenever the internet marketing space came around, when it became popularized, it was the same idea. It was like, oh, let's sell these business in a box at seminars, but on the internet. It'll be how to create your website, how to drive traffic, and how to drive. But are you actually selling an actual business, an actual product? Are you selling actual skills? Are you teaching people that's educational, that has value? And that's kind of why I decided, I can't. This is, and Jim was very wise when he said that it was very seductive. It is a seductive industry, because I started in this industry because I was like one of them too. And I mean, not the scammer. I'm talking about the person who bought into the scams. I was, the thing is, whenever I first started, I was broke. I was in insurance. I was looking at ways to kind of make myself get out of my hole, as so to speak. And I bought into these products and all that. And then when I discovered copywriting, and then I decided to do a lot of the stuff that I've learned, that was great. But then when I saw the business kind of becoming the way it was crazy to me. But anyways.
So you're actually one of the people who bought in, ironically, and then did get rich from the thing. But in order to get rich, you have to bring more people into the system who are in all likelihood not going to be, like, that's the whole irony, is in any Ponzi scheme or any pyramid scheme, there will be some people who actually do achieve the promises of the scheme, but it's always by just getting enough kind of suckers underneath them. I think it's really bold of you to come out, though, and have such a sort of 180, going from sort of a legend of the industry to someone who's actually very critical of it. What would you say to copywriters who are looking at the space right now? They want to go work for, one of these gigantic firms or something like this, and they look up to, all these gigantic copywriters who will just say anything to get the sale. What would you say to them?
Well, you just said something right there, to say anything to get the sale. What is the purpose of the sales letter? What is the purpose of writing the copy? Is it just to get the sale?
Well, they're going to say, look, it's criminal. I've heard this argument recently. It's unethical if you have a good product not to pitch it as hard as you humanly can. That's what I've heard the argument. If you have a great product, it is totally unethical not to pitch it absolutely to the moon, basically. Anything short of that is you're doing your customer a disservice by not literally forcing it down their throat.
You're doing a disservice not informing the people that you have something that can help them, but not shoving it down their throat. That's kind of counter, it's not something that I believe in, of course, and that you don't as well. But I think that for copywriters, so the ability to write a sales letter, the ability to write words that actually help sell a product or service is a skill. And I agree that is a good skill to have. And I think that a lot of people who are business owners should learn that skill. A business owner should be and I'm talking about legitimate businesses that actually sell products and services, actual products and actual services. If you need to hire a copywriter to help you because you don't have time, or you want to give, you want to have somebody who's actually skilled in that area to help you out, that's perfectly fine as well. But when it's all about making a sale rather than actually serving the customer, because it's really come down to this: do people actually get value from your product or service? Are you actually selling something that you're making money as a byproduct of doing something good? That you're serving people with selling a product or service that actually does good, that solves a problem. And that's the problem with the whole money making industry, because the problem in this case is they're broke. They want money. which is stupid to me. I mean, so if you're selling a product or service that helps people in their businesses, whether it's you do market research, whether it's SEO, whether it's a SaaS tool or software that will help you, create a better marketing automation process in your back end, those are legitimate products and services, and you can be a good copywriter that sells those products and services. But you're solving problems. You're solving real problems, and people who are broke and sick and old, they have problems that you cannot, you cannot solve that way because you're not really teaching them actual skills. I mean, the best thing I say to people who are copywriters who want to, write for those kinds of companies or write for those kind of products or services, how would you sell that to your mother? Would you, would you take this letter and then, go to your mother and then try to sell her that product or service? And, if they say yes, well, then we have a different problem in our hands. But why would you do that to other people's mothers? Or why would you do that to people who are in a situation where, but I can write a copy for a sales letter for a product that will really help them make a lot of money and get them out of their hole. Okay, show me the people who have bought this product prior to you writing the copy that have actually got on their holes.
Absolutely.
And if you can't prove that, then it's not really a product that's worth selling, or it's not a product worth writing copy for.
Yeah, I mean, to answer sort of the question earlier about pushing stuff down people's throat, is that you don't have to push great products down people's throat.
Exactly.
People buy them.
Exactly.
And so they just you tell them about it, they go, oh, great, I'll take it. There are all sorts of products like that out there. Like a great example is Tesla, who I don't think spends anything in advertising from what I know. I think they have a zero advertising budget. They use like Elon Musk's Twitter account basically. And it's one of the biggest automakers right now. Why? Because, or in terms of market cap, I don't know about volume, but why? It's just because it's such an incredible product that it just does all the selling for itself. I mean, you don't really have to just go sit in one and then you're like, oh, well, this is something, if I could afford it, I'll take it.
And if you have a product that nobody knows about, then your job is not to sell, it's to inform, it's to educate, it's to tell people, like to show, for example, the inner workings of your product, maybe to offer demos, maybe give people a chance to get a trial, maybe to get people an idea of what your product actually does, rather than trying to thrust a 1,000-word, a big long sales letter at a higher price rate. I don't know. And it's just, to me, it's just incredible.
Well, I think this comes to the actual problem, which is a lot of times when these hypotheticals are given about this supposedly great product, the problem is that the products are almost universally not great that are being pitched. They're almost universally kind of shady, which is why they have to be pitched that way or not as effective as they say.
And a lot of the people who sell these products today bought products that were similar like that from other marketers who bought products like that from other marketers who bought products like that from other marketers. It's Ponzi schemes. It's really just a different Ponzi scheme, I guess. A lot of these people are going into this business to make money, basically to learn how to make money from other gurus who taught them how to make money.
Who learned from other gurus who taught them how to make money.
Yeah.
Silly.
You're not literally, you're not showing people actual skills and how to create real businesses, maybe create a software product, maybe create a website that sells, pet cleaning services. I don't know. But the thing is, my point though is that a lot of these people who are online right now selling these get-rich-quick schemes learned it from other get-rich-quick schemes because that's what they teach. They teach thin air. They don't teach actual businesses. They teach people how to make money. There's a difference between how to, teaching people how to create a business and how to make money from that business rather than, I'm gonna teach you how to make money, and basically it's teaching other people how to make money. It's stupid.
Tell me about, because you mentioned free trial, get a free trial, give it a free trial. We should talk about that because that's actually one of the things they offer a lot. They offer free trials with the forced continuity that you talked about. Explain kind of the language behind this if somebody hasn't seen it, because this is really deceptive stuff. Because to the average person, they just see, for example, maybe they're offering a free book, right? But you have to put in your credit card information. Oh, just for $1.99 shipping or whatever it is. And then all of a sudden, you're subscribed to something that you didn't know you were subscribed for. How long do people last on these lists, just getting charged until, like, not even knowing they're getting charged? Do you know?
My experience with people who do that, usually 2 or 3 months. So that's why they have to keep filling the funnel, right? They have to keep finding more people to fill the funnel so that they can keep it at a certain level. And if they use tactics like I was mentioning earlier about, keeping it under the radar, then you probably have 6 months or more. But sadly enough, the way I look at it is offer free trial, don't ask for a credit card, and let the person come to their own conclusion if they actually want to buy the product or not. And if you inform them before the trial expires, hey, your trial is about to expire, would you like to take advantage of it? Here's a special offer. Great. That's to me, that's perfectly legitimate.
Sure.
But when you get into a free trial and you're asking people for a credit card, and here's the thing too, so a lot of these guys will then sell a physical product, and they're going to ask for credit card information because they said, oh, it's to pay for the shipping, because I need to ship it to you. Right, but why would you be able just to digitize the product and offer it for as for free in the back end? Mm-hmm. Just ask for so that's A, that's telling, and B, very often people forget, and they're often never told about the expiry of their free trials. And I've heard stories of people who literally look 6 months later, they realize that they paid 6 months into a product. And then when they approached the guru, the guru would say, well, you should have known it. We had a 30-day guarantee, which is a 30-day trial. So, you're past your guarantee time. So sorry. Sad. I laugh about it. I think it's funny because I think they deserve to be laughed at, but it's not laughable to think about the people who actually mortgaging their houses to buy this stuff. It's just crazy.
It's incredibly sad. And it kind of makes you angry as well. Now, let me tell you, Michael, so I do think that maybe there's an opportunity for change in this industry, and I'd like to hear your thoughts about it, whether you think this industry can be, I don't know, revolutionized is the right word, but maybe changed even on the margins. Because recently I made a video about Steph and Georgie. I don't know if you saw that video.
Yes. Yes.
Anyway, we were going to debate, and he ended up saying, you know what? Instead of debating, I want to take a second to reflect. And he ended up, I don't want to give away too much from our private conversation, but he ended up making some pretty substantial changes in his business. I believe he's selling off a big chunk of one of his large multi-million-dollar businesses because he says he doesn't want to be a part of that anymore, or he can't, and he's moving in this direction. He goes, you know what? I think he'd probably say he's been thinking about this a long time. I'll take his word for that too. But he wants to make that change in the positive direction. How does the copywriting industry as a whole make that change though? Because one person, he's a huge copywriter, he's well known. So that's probably a good thing that someone of his magnitude is making that kind of a shift. But what would it take for copywriters at large to make that shift? Is it a culture thing? Is it just embedded in the culture? What is it?
I honestly don't know. I think that a lot of the copywriters and the people that they write copy for, very often it's a cult of personality, right? And you can try as hard as you possibly can to change the industry. I mean, I've tried. My wife tried. We've wrote our manifestos. We've spoke out against it. We've lost a lot of friends because of coming out the way we did. I've lost a lot of business because of coming out the way I did.
You've probably lost literally millions of dollars from your choice to get out of this industry.
I would imagine that it would be, if you calculate it over the years, it would probably come up to, but I think it's not, I don't want to look at how much money I've lost, because to me, it's my sanity and my ethics and my integrity are probably more important.
They are 100% more important. Yeah, absolutely.
And again, it's for me, it's like watching my wife die in front of me and being taken advantage of the way she had, and then seeing people, even people who are buying these products and services and buying into what these gurus are saying and then seeing them suffer. I think that that's the picture we need to paint. That's the education that we need to make when we teach other copywriters and all that. Not necessarily saying, gurus are bad and yes, we knew. I think that what you're doing is a great service, Stephen, and thank you for being who you are and doing what you're doing. But I think that we also need to show them, shine the spotlight on all the people who are suffering right now, the bankruptcies, the people who are dying, the people who are out in the streets homeless because they had to remortgage their house and they got foreclosed on because they had to buy Guru A, B, and C's products and services.
Absolutely.
Or showing actual, like doing these exposés. I mean, like for example, what Mike Winnett does, which is showing actual, interviewing people who are being scammed. Like you interview people who've lost money on your show, and how much money they've invested and how
Tens of thousands of dollars.
Those are beautiful. Those are perfect because those are really educating people. These are the people who are hurting because of you. These are the people who are suffering because of you. Mm-hmm. And I think that if ethical people will look at that, like myself, and say, I don't want to do this anymore. And and the people who don't, you're not going to be able to change them because those, they are who they are and they'll always be who they are, right?
You're absolutely right. Yeah, I think that's right. And I do try to focus on that side of the industry, even though it's not as like, what's fun about talking about the gurus is it's very mockable. There's a lot of entertainment value in it, but there's something profoundly like moving and human about talking to people who have been basically robbed, scammed, fleeced, whatever you want to say about it. One person I talked to in this FutureNet, it was a Ponzi scheme. They literally knew people on their team, their downline, that had basically killed themselves because of what had happened. Literally, they just had no other alternative. And this is because they either took out loans, from sharks in the Philippines, or these are poor countries. But when I did that interview, I just said to myself, even though this may get a few more people to click off this video because this isn't exactly fun, it is the most honest thing I could say about this industry and what the actual damage is. It's not that it's just some clown making a mockery of himself. It's also that it's like actually harming people who have real faces. They aren't just numbers on your conversion sheet, right? Like, I think that's how a lot of people look at it. But yeah, I agree with you. I think that's the most important part.
The best analogy I can use is my stepdaughter is vegan, and she's a bit of a militant vegan. And she says, if you had to, raise your cows and your chickens yourself, and then literally you had to kill them yourself in order to feed you and your family, whatever the case is. But you're so removed now from that process. You just buy meat from the supermarket. That's why for you, it's like, it's nothing, And so it's the same thing with these copywriters or people who are going into business for these kinds of reasons. If they were closer to the effects of what they're doing, they would probably think twice before, either have a change of heart, hopefully. But like you said, there's going to be people who are going to look at that and they're going to justify it in their minds. It's their fault. It's because they didn't apply themselves. They didn't try harder.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But then there are also going to be people like Steph Georgie who have a moment of reflection and they end up selling off a part of their business. They go a completely different way. And you do have to highlight those people and, pay some respect to that. That's why I also wanted to say thank you. I mean, for what you've done, where you've really, I didn't say you left a lot of money on the table to make to make it seem like, oh, you should have done something different. I highlighted it to highlight the fact that that's what ethics means. That's what being an ethical person means, is doing things the right way. It doesn't necessarily always lead to more riches, but it leads to, like you said, your sanity, being able to sleep at night, and just a general, you return back to the true roots of a lot of what, selling should be about, which is about giving somebody else value and then you yourself also getting paid for that. I mean, that's like selling at its best. It's marketing at its best is a mutual exchange of good.
My late wife said the best thing ever. She says, don't make money at the expense of others, make money at the service of others. And unfortunately, a lot of these courses make money at the expense of others. So,
well said, Michael. Well, I think we've about covered it.
Well, thank you.
Thank you so much, Michael. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for everything you do.
I know what you mean. This ain't what it seemed. Nothing but a trick, trying to sell me on a dream, but that was where you lost me. Wake up and smell the coffee.
Look, I'm so worried about you right now. The savings rate this month hit a low of 2.7%. This is an unbelievable and ridiculous warning sign that I told you about last week.
The person that has $236.
Invest it all in yourself. You're already broke. Don't hold on to $236. Our parents, they taught us to save money. You know?
Yeah,
This is
100%.
stupid. I want to bank cash, man. I need money. I need emergency funds.
A safety net is one of the first goals any investor should establish in fund. We recommend that everyone should save regularly towards some kind of safety net.
It just doesn't make any sense. Save your money. Prepare for a rainy day. It fucking don't rain here. I need to treat money like it's sacred. The savings rate in this country was over 6.5% for 30 years. Now it's collapsed again. What are you doing?
I'll never forget, these guys paid $12,000 each to sit in that chair. 3 days I got to look at their ugly faces.
Look, man, you're spending money on junk when you don't need it. Look at my little things, man. I know guys walking around with $500 and $600 headphones, and I got my little freebies that came with my phone. Why? What's the difference?
So this is a 13-passenger Gulfstream. It retails for about $61 million.
Truth is, most people don't like money. I know they don't like money. You know how I know they don't like money? Because as soon as you get some, you get rid of it. You buy shit with it.
I mean, it's crazy. When you start putting stuff on a jet, it's bizarre. Like this door was not in here. This door right here, believe it or not, cost $850,000 to put in.
America is back to the savings rate that it was at back when we had this problem in 2008. When people were buying Porsches and cars and country clubs. Dude, it was out of hand.
10 years ago, all they used in these planes was really dark, heavy wood. Probably cost $1 million to replace the wood.
You know, my father told me when I was 6 years old, he said, watch the pennies, the dollars will take care of themselves.
Okay, help me out here. A penny saved is? A penny is a penny. Okay, your mama got real complicated here. A penny is a penny, and if you spend time with them, you'll end up with nothing.
When you watch pennies and nickels and dimes and quarters, when you watch that, you're going to pay attention to the bigger flows. People that are not disciplined with money don't end up with money. People that waste money on dumb things don't end up with money. There's something universal about money. Waste it, somebody else gets it. So if you're down to your last $1,000, this offer today is $9.97, grantcardone.com/shark. Okay?
Yeah.
You're down, a guy's sitting there right now watching this and I got my last grand, dude, and I got Christmas coming. Should he spend it on this?
Absolutely.
I would tell you the same thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, connecting the dots on crime isn't always an easy thing. Sometimes you want a nice, neat narrative to answer all your questions, and the reality is such a narrative doesn't really exist. And when that happens, it's incumbent on us to set the record straight, to do the digging no one else wants to do. The story we're setting straight today was actually talked about yesterday on this channel. The story of DeFi 100, a crypto coin which allegedly exit scammed everybody and left a page on their website saying that we scammed all of you and you can't do shit about it. New details have come out, including fake doxes, revenge developers, and the actual person in charge of it denying all these claims have come out, and I want to examine all of them today with you to find out who's innocent and who's guilty. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the $10 million studio. I am Coffeezilla, the internet detective, and today we're talking about DeFi 100. Again, we talked about this yesterday, but some really big, massive breaks in the case came out yesterday after I had made the video, and I want to talk to you guys about them today to make sure that we're all on the same page, because the last thing I want to do is leave you with misinformation, unclarified, unexamined. Now let's start from the beginning. Yesterday, A website selling DeFi 100 tokens put up this image on their website. And quickly, crypto accounts began reporting on this. The most notable was Mr. Whale, who said, breaking DeFi 100 coin exit scams and runs away with $32 million in investor funds. But personally, I was interested in finding out who was responsible for this. I told everyone, if you have a tip who the developer might be, my DMs are open. I've been trying to hunt them down all morning. I also warned everyone that someone had already been falsely doxxed because he was thought to be in connection with DeFi 100, but he wasn't. He just forked the GitHub repo. And as an aside, don't dox people unless you're sure that they're actually part of something, because I've seen now multiple doxing of the developers that I don't think they actually were the main guy. And I actually got the person who first leaked this dox to remove it because it wasn't actually the guy that they thought it was. But anyway, I said this, and I got a response. Blog claimed that he was the developer of DeFi 100's website, and he had to put the message up to bring out the developers from hiding. And then he gave his Telegram handle right here, Kiss My Axe. Now, at the same time this was happening, DeFi 100's official Twitter account, which last tweeted on March 15th, also went public and started posting things. On May 23rd, they said, the website was hacked yesterday and the message was shown by the hackers. It has been taken down. In response to this, Crypto Whale says they were doxxed and now are trying to claim they were hacked. Nice try to cover it up. No one believes it, but I wanted to investigate it anyways. So I contacted this guy, Blog, which I kind of expected to be a troll or something like that. I got a lot of troll accounts telling me that they were connected or they knew who this guy was. And of course, they ended up not. But I feel like I have to chase down, a lot of these rabbit holes anyway, just to see where they go. So I got on Telegram and I actually messaged this guy. I said, you sent a Twitter message saying you're the admin of their WordPress. Can you prove that? I was, yes, lol. I'll send you screenshots of chats with Devson. Now, bear in mind, Devson is the original guy, the lead suspect in our DeFi 100 case. And he said he developed their website. So of course I asked for proof because this is pretty extraordinary because he's claiming to have put up the message that they scammed everybody. He responds with a chat log between himself and Devson, the profile. Now I immediately checked and that is the guy's actual profile picture. But then I found something that even further corroborated his story. This screenshot from the official Telegram group of D100 where Devson himself claims that Kiss My Axe is updating the website. He messaged me earlier to show the site he developed so far. Wow, this is actually a massive break in the case. We still don't know who Devson is, but now we know who's responsible for posting this message of we scammed you guys and you can't do shit about it. Now, interestingly, he signs off Devson, but now he's saying that actually it was him that put up the message, the guy who originally made the website. So I have asked, of course, why would you do that? He responds that basically for 2 months, the project was dead and the guy had basically abandoned the project. And when the project began to fail, he had originally offered to do website work for free. He completed the website for them and basically was trying to launch the coin, but Devson stopped responding. After waiting 2 months, seems like he got tired and decided it was his job to bring Devson to justice. Now, at this point, I'm wondering a lot of things about this guy's motives, why he would do this. So, of course, I asked him if he lost money in the project. He said yes, and I asked how much. Apparently, $12,000, or in Binance token, 30 BNB. So this is a disgruntled developer who's working on this project for free. And the original guy who started the whole project has basically abandoned it. And so he posts something, it sounds like to try to get a bunch of attention to it and try to make the guy come out of hiding or whatever by saying that basically they scammed everybody and signing it off as the guy. I, of course, asked this person if he thought that Devson had scammed everyone, and he said this: he is a loser who is technically poor and can't manage what he started. Of course, he has made money, but then he bailed when he couldn't handle community pressure. It's kind of, and this is his words, a soft rug pull. So if I'm reading this right, he's saying this guy got way in over his head, took the money, and ran. I'd call that a scam, but it definitely complicates his motives. Now, interestingly, he still is anonymous even to this internal developer. I asked him if he knew who it was. He said no. And then he said he even tried to put an IP tracker at one point when he wanted to know where this guy was, but the guy's IP couldn't be recording. He must be hiding it, which is a perfect segue for our sponsor today, ExpressVPN. No, just kidding.
Little YouTube sponsorship joke, guys. Very, very hot. Very hot. Anyways, the guy was hiding his IP, which to me, once again, that further implicates him. I mean, yes, the story's gotten complicated, but it definitely seems like this guy knew things could go wrong and wanted to protect himself if things did go wrong. This DevSyn guy. If you're hiding, if you're anonymous, we have to ask why. If you're masking your IP from even your own developers. And that's why I said, smart if he knew he was scamming. So that's basically where we are now. D100 has basically denied this, saying that the website was hacked, but that's not entirely true. It was a real developer for the project, the website guy, who just got annoyed because he had lost tons of money with the project and the guy had ditched the project. And he decided to basically draw a bunch of attention to it with this bombastic post. And I thought, we have to explain exactly what's happened. DeFi 100 has gone on to say that the real losses to investors were smaller than originally reported. Rumors of scamming 32 mil are false and baseless. And then he talks about the market cap. But one thing that pisses me off is that this person says there is no exit scam and we're still working on finding a way to bring the project back on its feet. And to this, I have to say, no, you're not. Stop lying. Okay? If your last tweet from this account before you got publicly called out was March 15th, you're done with the project, right? You left in March 15th. You weren't going to suddenly come back. You didn't suddenly feel bad for everybody. If one of your main website developers says he hasn't been in touch with you for 2 months, you were done with the project. You feel bad because you got caught out, but you were done with the project. So I really hate to see this backpedaling or whatever. And you know what? This developer, he's anonymous. You can't trust him no matter what, especially if he tries to start a new coin or something saying he's going to make everyone's money back. Do not trust him. Do not believe him. Anyways, that's basically it. That concludes the "we scammed you guys and you can't do about it" saga. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a journey. Stories of revenge, false doxings. I mean, you have everything. The guy coming in, denying it, saying we were hacked. That's sort of being true, but also sort of being not true. This story has been a wild ride. But either way, I hope you didn't lose money. I hope you were smart. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
I know what you mean. This ain't what it seemed. Nothing but a trick, trying to sell me on a dream, but that was where you lost me. Wake up and smell the coffee.
Can you swim?
Just when you thought 2020 couldn't get any crazier, y'all are out here trying to recreate the movies, baby. A Ponzi scheme suspect used an underwater scooter to try to flee from the FBI unsuccessfully. It's too much. If you are trying to flee the FBI with a sea scooter, it's time to reevaluate. If you find yourself at the bottom of the ocean, scooting, hey, you've made a series of life choices that led you to that point. This man named Matthew Piercy was underwater for 25 minutes trying to scoot around with his little sea scooter. It goes like 4 miles an hour. And the detectives are on land just like watching him. And he's down there thinking to himself, dude, I'm getting away with it. He saw National Treasure one time, right? Y'all remember the National Treasure scene? This is a scene where Nicolas Cage is being chased by the FBI and he escapes by jumping into the river and escaping on a sea scooter. This guy thinks to himself, hey, if Cage can do it, I can do it. Listen, guys, I'm just telling you the news. These are the facts. This really happened. So he's scooting around, but what he doesn't realize, and what National Treasure doesn't show you because the movies aren't real, is guess what comes up when you're underwater scooting? Bubbles. The DOJ says that Piercy spent time underwater, submerged, where all the detectives and the FBI could do is see the bubbles. But the thing is, they could see the bubbles. So this guy's scooting around at 4 miles an hour at the lake depths, Lake Shasta. It's freezing, by the way, at Lake Shasta. They thought he had hypothermia afterwards. He didn't. But he thinks he's getting away with it, and turns out they're just like walking alongside as he's scooting. You could probably walk that fast. 4 miles an hour? It's nothing. So he gets caught. He's going to jail. And now they're saying he's a flight risk. Of course, because he's trying to escape in underwater submergibles. And it looks like he might get life in prison. He's facing several counts of potentially 20-year-long sentences. So it does look like he will be going to jail for a very long time. And I say 2 things. First of all, good. Show the scammers what you get when you run Ponzi schemes. Number 2, to the future prison warden, make sure you don't give this guy a rock hammer. We know that this is a man with some ideas. He might get to Shawshanking his way out of there. We don't know. But this just goes to show, boys, crime pays temporarily. Look, he was banking $35 million Ponzi scheme, but eventually you're going to get caught, and you're going to look like a fool, and we're going to call you out for it. His Ponzi scheme was all built on the idea of algorithmic trading, but there's only one algorithm going on. You gave him money, you lost money because he spent it on houseboats, house renovations, all this stuff. Total scumbag, and it looks like he's getting what he deserves. Next time you think your day's bad, just imagine freezing your butt off in Lake Shasta trying to evade the FBI on a sea scooter. Anyway, that's it. See you next time.
And don't forget to smash like and subscribe. Thank you.
Don't call it the Cuban Missile Crisis. Even that didn't end as badly as this one did. Mark Cuban recently promoted a crypto that has now blown up in his face, thanks to some degenerate crypto farming. The coin is called Titan. It went from $4 to $60 inside of a week, and then immediately crashed to less than a penny in a few hours. Mark Cuban, in response, tweeted this: "I got hit like everyone else. Crazy part is I got out, thought they were increasing their TVL enough. Then, bam, more like boom." Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to DeFi. Now, in the aftermath, people lost millions, maybe more. Memes are being made to memorialize the event. And Mark Cuban is curiously suddenly calling for a stablecoin regulation. He says in a statement to Bloomberg, there should be regulation to define what a stablecoin is and what collateralization is acceptable. You know, I obviously agree with this idea of stablecoin regulation, but I gotta admit, losing all your money and then calling for regulation, it's a bit like trying to ban gambling right after you got cleaned out in Vegas. I mean, you might be right. Bad timing. That's all I'm gonna say. But honestly, I think this is a good time to talk to all you degenerates out there, okay? Trying to yield farm your way to the moon. Now look, we've all been there. You got that stimmy check, and you're looking at index fund returns. The S&P might get you 8 to 12% a year if you're lucky. Cash is trash. You can't keep it in fiat. So then you look at crypto. Boom. 100% gains, baby. Over here, 12,000% gains. Guys, crypto is a whole new level of risk reward that the world is really still getting exposed to and used to. It's just gains are ratcheted up, and so are losses, though, to be honest. People don't even open up Binance or KuCoin for anything less than 200% APY, and it's got y'all all kinds of messed up, okay? Even people like Mark Cuban. Like, here's a guy who goes up on Shark Tank, and he's buttoned up, right? He's asking questions you'd expect from a millionaire. You know, what's your cash flow? Who are your competitors? What's your projected growth? You know, in other words, he's a rational businessman. He's been around the block. But apparently, when Mark goes home, gets in front of that MacBook, starts checking out these DeFi projects, this man becomes a filthy degenerate. These were the kinds of yields Mark was looking at. Here's a liquidity pool promising 347% APY. Here's another one promising 133,000% APY. And here's another one offering, just a low 4 billion percent APY if you put money with them. Now, if you're thinking, there's no way Mark Cuban would be, taken in by such ridiculous returns, right? Clearly, these are scams. Well, you'd actually be right. He didn't go in for the 4 billion percent or even the 300%. Instead, according to the blog where he shilled this coin called Titan, he said he got an annualized return of about 206%, guys. Don't worry, we're not talking about anything crazy here. Just 206% on his money per year. Now, this is completely nuts. So today, we're going to break down what went wrong with the crypto Mark promoted in this blog post that he posted only a few days ago. It's called The Brilliance of Yield Farming, Liquidity Providing, and Valuing Crypto Projects, June 13th. In this post, he describes the degenerate behavior, but the token we're going to talk specifically about where he lost the money is called Titan. But it's actually part of a 2-token system that makes up an algorithmic stablecoin called Iron. The 2 tokens are Iron and Titan. they both collapsed. Now, you should already be familiar with the concept of stablecoins from our Tether video. Remember that collateral is the thing backing the token. So, like, let's say I give you a token that's supposed to be worth $1. My collateral could be like $1 that I hold in reserve, right? Instead of that, Titan admits that it's only partially collateralized and uses algorithmic minting and burning protocols to maintain a soft peg to the dollar. Now, if you're already bored to tears like I am, I'm just going to put this on screen for you to read from them. This is how the Iron Titan token works. Now, while you read this and try to parse out what this says, let me just tell you the obvious. Even the basics of this are very complex, which is something I should have addressed a long time ago, but I might as well address now. I'm going to say this once. Extreme complexity in finance is bad, okay? As an investor, really as anyone, you should avoid them. Why? Because the less you understand something, ladies and gentlemen, the more you can misunderstand the risks, okay? Like, imagine investing is like whitewater rafting. It's a rewarding, dangerous activity with twists and turns. But if you know where the rocks are, you can be safe. You can avoid some of the pitfalls. It's always going to have a level of danger, but if you know what's going on in the river, you're going to be fine. But imagine you go in completely blind. You don't know where anything is. You don't know the river layout. You're going to wash up on the rocks, bleeding, wondering what happened. This is the case with investing. If you do not understand something in investing, you're going to smash into those rocks and it's going to be a problem. This is why Warren Buffett frequently says that he doesn't invest in a lot of companies. It's not because he thinks they're bad. It's because he doesn't fully understand them, according to him. By the way, not only is it true that complicated financial schemes can hide fraud, it's also true that just because you didn't fully understand it, things can get out of balance. This is actually what happened in the 2008 financial crash. Subprime lending led to MBSs and then CDOs, which all confused and obfuscated the fact that the system was broken and people were still continuing to lend loans they should have never lent. Had things been more clear, this might not have been a problem. And so the same thing applies to crypto. If you don't understand these tokens, please do not invest in them. So where does that leave us with the Iron Titan token? The token actually was only the beginning of the problem. Mark Cuban was also engaging in something called a yield farming through something called a quick swap. It's just like more degenerate, okay? According to a blog where he promoted Titan a few days before the collapse, he said, quote, "I'm a small LP for QuickSwap. I provide two different tokens, DAI and Titan, that enable QuickSwap to offer swaps between these two tokens." So now, not only are you dealing with sort of a shaky algo stablecoin, add a little bit of DeFi yield farming to the mix, and ladies and gentlemen, we have a recipe for disaster. Even Mark Cuban admits he didn't do his due diligence on this before writing his blog post about it. He says, "Even though I got rugged on this, it's really on me for being lazy. The thing about DeFi is that it's all about revenue and math, and I was too lazy to do the math to determine what the key metrics were." Which all leads us to June 16th, only days after Mark Cuban writes this about Titan and drew tons of new investors to the project. And literally one day after Iron.Finance, the people who create these little coins, itself had claimed that Titan was a bear-proof asset. Oh, the sweet irony of saying we're unstoppable. It's like being on the Titanic.
But this ship can't sink.
So anyways, on June 16th, not to rub it in, the unthinkable happened. A few people start selling Titan, and it led to everyone trying to run for the door at the same time. When that happened, Titan collapsed to zero, along with Iron as well. People really hadn't considered that maybe what made Titan make so much money on the way up would also make it crash just as hard, as a post on Reddit would explain best. This is how the protocol was designed. Positive feedback loop on the way up, negative feedback loop on the way down. Boring technical jargon in the middle, and then it says, this creates both massive deflation and massive inflation, depending on which way the supply-demand is going. It seems that this bear-proof asset hadn't considered the idea that maybe their math wasn't as solid as they thought. Well, millions of people lost all of their investment, or most of it. Ironically, Mark may have actually been one of the few people who saved some of his money from disaster, because in his response, he had said, "I got hit like everybody else. Crazy part is I got out. Thought they were increasing their TVL enough." Here, I think he's referring to the fact that he got out of the DeFi yield farming, but was still holding some of the Titan, which went to zero. Some clearly didn't get out at all, such as this post from Reddit. He says, what the hell happened? I put $23,000 today on Matic Titan LP token for 1 billion % APR this morning, and this was so trash. I went down from 23K to 67 cents. How does your coin drop from $60 down to zero? You better fix this soon. Yeah, this really happened to this person. I don't know how you help them. I don't know how you explain to people that 1 billion % APR is automatically going to be a scam. I think it can be answered using a comment I got on Twitter. This is in response to everything collapsing. It says, well, even Mark Cuban got rugged. Pretty normal in DeFi. It's risky, but you can make insane money with Ponzi's. Now, I don't know exactly when we all stopped thinking Ponzi schemes were bad, but I feel like there's this new logic that maybe I should give an obligatory bad idea to, which is that people think, if only I get in on the ground floor. Oh, it's a Ponzi, sure, but if I just get in on the ground floor, it'll be fine.
If it is a Ponzi, get in on the ground floor. To the moon.
Like, this is obviously pure nonsense. And for the health of your bank account, stay away from anybody who tells you this. Meanwhile, the lovely team over at Iron Finance, the people behind this whole thing, they're ready to push another one of their stable coins. They say in response to this giant collapse, quote, we have learned a great deal from the incident, and while there was nothing that could be fixed in the current system, we will continue our journey with more products in the future. These guys don't even say sorry. You can control F sorry in their post-mortem. They don't care. They don't care about wrecking you guys. They go, hey, we're going to start a new one like tomorrow. Total clowns. And I would say no one's going to trust these people again, but honestly, crypto is the perfect place for criminals to launch new careers. Off topic, guys, anyone hear about that new Brian Rose DeFi? Anyways, that's kind of besides the point. I just hope this serves as a cautionary tale. Listen, Titan was $1 billion token. That's $1 billion of value that was just blinked out of existence. And, for those of you who are looking for those mouth-watering yields, it's a good lesson that always the old saying turns out to be true in the long run. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Oh, yeah, and also remember, it might be fun to play high-stakes poker, at the big boy table. But if you don't got it like that, don't bother, right? When Mark Cuban loses his investment, in Titan, it doesn't matter. Not to judge, most of y'all don't have flying Lamborghinis in my audience. You got to play a different hand. When you get wiped out, it's a much bigger deal. So unless you have a flying Lambo, I banish you from investing in things you don't understand. Please, guys, be safe out there. Keep your money safe. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.
Hey, you took my money away. You said that it was safe, but I'm rugged and I don't feel okay. I trusted you. You said that it was alright. Oh, but now I'm broke and my wallet's real light.